And there we go. I'm Don. It's late. I'm up. Hi. How are you folks? Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. I was frozen there. The StreamYard was being strange. StreamYard's often strange. So thank you for joining me and thank you for dealing with that weird glitch I had there. Did you see me freeze? It was kind of cool. Anyways, my name is Don Nichols. I will be watching a movie tonight and you will be joining me for it. Thank you for being here. Tonight we're going to be watching Jaws. Is it the scariest movie of all time? It's for sure one of them, right? Like it's kind of inarguably in the top, like, Mount Rushmore of scary movies. It messed people up. They not only were afraid to go to the ocean, they were afraid to go to pools. All right, that's a scary movie. So tonight we're gonna be watching Jaws. I'm gonna be streaming it on Stars through Prime. Because the future is annoying. I have this on DVD and Blu-ray. I have the VHS. My old VHS sucks. I think the little what do you call it? The flippy thing in front of the tape there, whatever that's called, the door. That guy, that's busted. Anyways, I see some folks are piling in here. So before I get started on this 2 hour and 3 minute movie where we will talk about virtually everything under the sun, uh, how it was almost a flop, Steven Spielberg's legacy. We'll talk Roy Scheider. We'll talk how this is both Moby Dick and Star Trek. Huh? Intrigued? Yeah, me too. Oh, I see some folks are here. Mr. Bones is here. He says, "Show me the way to go home. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I had a drink about an hour ago when it went straight to my head." Yes, Mr. Bones is here, friend of the channel. Awesome folks. People are strange when you're a stranger. Yes, and Jim Morrison is here as well. Let's see. Yo, buddy, by the way, I saw Mortal Kombat. It was freaking awesome. Next up is Mando and Grogu and He-Man Scary Movie and Supergirl, and I'm still up to 2022 on my memoirs. A lot to digest and unpack there. Let's back up. First of all, this is our friend Anthony Chabot, who is frequently here and joins us. He is awesome. We love Anthony. Anthony, I saw you were live streaming Jersey Shore earlier. I had it on for a little bit. I didn't mean to be lurking on you, but it was because, I had it on while I was doing stuff. You're pretty awesome. Let's see. He saw Mortal Kombat. I haven't seen the new one. Curious about it. I was one of the few people who enjoyed the most recent one, whatever the updated one. This is the sequel to that, right? The old school ones from the 90s, I enjoyed the soundtrack, and that first one jams. That second one is what notably like one of the worst movies ever. So I'm a fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise. I'm sure I'll check it out eventually. I'm glad you liked it. It says freaking awesome. Mandalorian Grogu, I want to see. That'll be. There's a reason I pay for the stupid Disney Plus, so I will watch it there when it shows up. But that's one of the few Star Wars movies I won't see in the theater. It'll be sad to me. I never saw Solo and this one. That's it. Otherwise, I saw every other one in the theater. So yeah, I'm a little bummed, but I will be checking that one out. But let me know what you think of Mando and Grogu. And He-Man looks awesome. I'm shocked. I like the old Dolph Lundgren one. It's terrible, but terrible in an awesome way. So, what are you gonna do? But I would like to see that new one. The trailers are right flame emoji. Let's see. Scary movie. I'm not a scary movie fan. I've explained that before, but I'm glad other folks like it. And I'm glad you like it. I hope you enjoy it. Supergirl, intriguing, right? When you say Supergirl right away, I was like, made a face like something smelled bad, but instead, the trailer came out, and I like it. Her little cameo or whatever that is, a button at the end of the Superman movie. I thought she kind of stole the show. So I'm interested in Supergirl. The James Gunn Super Universe has me intrigued right now. The Clayface trailer, the little teaser, ooh, exciting. Let's see, up 2022 in your memoirs. You are cranking them out. I realize the post-pandemic stuff is going to be a lot to get in there. Go Cero No More Monsters is here, our friend, for a long time friend of the channel. Hello, buddy. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. That is true. That is why I make sure to say it twice up front, and then I have the logo everywhere. So, just how I do it. Folks are saying hi to each other, and I am going to say hi to Jaws. This is a three-time Oscar winner. It stars Roy Scheider, sort of the one of the tougher everyman actors, right? Like, the usual, the relatable everyman is kind of like a Jimmy Stewart, Tom Hanks, kind of like, very like mild guy. Roy Scheider looks like he'll fight you a little bit, right? Hobbs Horror is here. Long time no see, my friend. Hello, Hobbs. Yes, the midnight hour was on earlier tonight, so I recommend you could drop by and watch the replay of that. I had it on earlier while I was getting things setting up and playing with the baby. So you guys provide a lot of entertainment while I have my hands full. I appreciate it. So the Pumpkin King is here. Welcome, Pumpkin King. I'm going to go ahead and press play on Jaws. And I'm gonna watch it with X-ray, so I make sure I have all the names and stuff right. Yeah, this one's on Stars. It was previously on regular Prime. Before that, it was on HBO Max. I've been tracking it to watch it on the show. I've been meaning to watch this with you guys for a while. The problem is the time it most occurs to me to watch it is, of course, Fourth of July weekend. Right? That's like when everybody wants to watch Jaws. That's the problem. Is the other folks I know who kind of do similar things, or do movie commentaries or host discussion shows, all want to watch Jaws at the Fourth of July. I don't want to watch it at Christmas time. I mean, it's Jaws. You can watch it any time of the year, right? But where I live now, it's just started to get hot and uncomfortable, sticky. People are sweating buckets, and folks walking around in their swimsuits, and folks bursting in spontaneous combustion. So, okay, here we are. We're starting. We're at the title card for Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. They did the old Steve McQueen Towering Inferno thing where they put all three names on the screen to show that the actors are equal, but then they put Robert Shaw's name second but higher. So it's second after Roy Scheider, but it's higher when you visually look at it. It's like a mental trick of trying to make everybody seem like they're important. Oh, the film editor, Verna Fields. She's awesome, amazing. I will say awesome a million times while we watch this tonight because this movie is awesome. We start off. This is kind of one of the amazing things about Jaws, and part of the reason I love it so much. It is rated PG because at the time they weren't real hard, like they didn't use R as much as they usually do nowadays. So this is PG, and in like the first 5 minutes, we're going to see a naked woman get dismembered and chewed up, eaten alive, and not in a fun way. But I dig this like kind of 70s, almost Karate Kid beach party thing they're doing here, where they're all hanging out and people don't do this. We don't see this in movies anymore. The folks at the beach at the night, they're all wearing sweaters and passing joints around and having bonfires and stuff. So here's where the two like young kids kind of come eye to eye, and then she's gonna go running off and skinny dipping, and that's when the whole thing gets good. We just saw John Williams credit as it went by. The John Williams kind of makes this movie. Like any movie John Williams does, he's sort of the driving force behind everything. Awesome. Well, see, once again, there's another awesome. We need like a little awesome counter in the corner. Um, just amazing cinematography. All of this, like this is a masterpiece. This film. It's a young director at the top of his game with a whole bunch of energy, and the world's best composer. And then even when the budget ballooned to more than double of what they were planning to spend on it, they still kept investing in it. So it had strong producers, and then it became what folks consider the first blockbuster. It was the first movie that had folks lining up to buy tickets, and the line for the tickets literally went around the block. Like prior to that, movies would play and they'd be big deals. I'm sure Gone with the Wind must have been like that too. They just didn't have a word for it. So there's the classic shot that's in the top of my thumbnail, even where we just see the smooth horizon line of the water, and it's real pretty and crystal, and um, it's at nighttime, so some of the shots you can see, or it's at dusk. So at some of the shots, it's like kind of this blue and orange thing, very pretty. Obviously, Spielberg, master of his craft. Now here's the creature from the Black Lagoon shots. That's one of the underrated influences in this. People never talk about is this just has a whole bunch of creature from the Black Lagoon stuff in it, and that underwater shot looking up at the woman swimming. So good. This movie is one I've watched. We've talked about this before. Sometimes I'll watch a movie and I'll turn off the saturation on my TV and watch it in black and white. And Jaws works great in black and white, especially the stuff with them sitting on the boat. I was a little worried about this stuff in the water not working in black and white, but it's like I say, Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's just creepy. So here's the famous scene. She's skinny dipping. The shark comes up, grabs her, and then just starts pulling her around. The terror of it, like, because it almost looks comical, but on her end, it's awful. Oh, let's see. Lay used to watch Jaws a lot, but she left us. Yeah, well, I know Lay's got other stuff going on. Her and her boyfriend, they kind of run their channel together, or his channel together, so she's busy with that stuff. And Lay will always be part of the community and part of our heart. Lay's awesome. Not as awesome as Jaws, but nothing's as awesome as Jaws. I don't know. Jaws to me, at least to me, is one of the very few films I can say is flawless. I totally agree, Hobbs. Um, this is one of the few movies I give a 10 to. I'm sure it has something to do with, my generation and the era I grew up in and stuff, but, Jaws, Empire Strikes Back, um, Die Hard, there's just some movies that are kind of just flawless. They're great all the time. No matter how many times I see them, I'm always fascinated. So here's the first shot of Brody, classic hero shot set up. We see him in the morning with his wife. She looks satisfied, so we know we've got like this kind of lover man hero. Our dude handles business, but we still haven't seen his face. It's all from behind. And like we've talked about this and other stuff, it's called it's one of the many hero shots you use. If you don't see the hero's face, it builds up interest and curiosity. So then when they turn around and reveal or they take off their mask or whatever, they get more of a boost. So yeah, we still haven't seen Roy Scheider's face really. We've seen a lot of his wife. There it is, and he looks hungover. That's part of Roy Scheider's charm. He's like the early Bruce Willis. He just always looks hungover. And all this stuff. Part of the reason Jaws is perfect is we've talked about this with Stephen King's writing style and a lot of good horror movies before. The best horror movies, you always have a little bit of like drama, melodrama up front. We meet the people, we see their issues, we, kind of get to know them and care about them. So then when stuff happens, you actually care when things happen. If we just jump right into the horror and we're introduced to some characters on the fly, there's no time to care whether they live or die. But these folks, like, we're spending time with his family, we're like a guest in his house. So when something bad happens to his kids or they're in danger, it's extra, like, oh, shit. Thank God it's Friday, Don. Russell Collier, the Canadian hero and stoner superstar. Welcome, my friend. Yes, it is Friday. Well, I'm because I'm a late night guy. To me, it's still Thursday. So then after this show, I'll probably get some sleep, and then tomorrow when I wake up, it'll be Friday. But yes, you are most definitely correct. It is Friday, and thank goodness for it. Our friend Have Cheetah Will View is here. Patrick, hoot hoot. Welcome, Patrick. Good to see you, my friend. Patrick, is Jaws flawless? And where do you weigh in on it being one of the scariest movies of all time? They cut some good things out that are in the book. I wish they kept in. I was going to bring up the book. I've never read it. It's by Peter Benchley. The book. I think we talked about this earlier. This is a sort of a retelling of a story that's been told forever. Going back to Jonah and the whale from the Bible, and then Pinocchio has a whale thing in it, and then you get into like Moby Dick and stuff. Basically, these folks on a mission of self discovery and vengeance go out, away from society and handle their business. Um, the Quint character is basically a version of Ahab in this. Roy Scheider, I've talked about before. To me, he feels like Captain Kirk in this. Like basically, he's the hero of the movie. He's the brains of the operation, the guy we're following around, our hero. But then he has like these two conflicting like devil angel on his shoulder, right? He's got Quint, who's like the emotion, like the same way in Star Trek, how Bones is the emotion, and then he's got Hooper, who's like the intellectual college guy, nerd guy, Spock, the logic. So then it's the tug of war between what goes on inside you, the conflict. Do I follow my heart? Do I follow my brain? Speaking of following, here we see him go find the first body, and there's all these crabs and stuff crawling on it. Once again, PG. This HD transfer is beautiful. This one on Stars. Sometimes they're not as good as you think they'd be. They're hit or miss. This one's not bad. This is a little bit of grain around the eyes there, but part of the beauty of Jaws is how it looks. It's like Raiders and a couple other things. Empire Strikes Back. As it gets older, it looks like it already kind of looked old to start, and then as it gets older, it like ages like a fine wine. Every time I watch Jaws, it's like listening to a record on vinyl or something. It's got just a feel to it that looks right. This is before digital came in. It's phasing out the 70s look and fading into the 80s look. So there's like even almost a pinch of like, you know, slightly better than the birds, but at times I'm reminded of the birds. Oh, let's see here. Anyways, yeah, I see. We were talking about Peter Benchley. Yeah, I've never read the book. I've always wanted to. I watched a Peter Benchley miniseries on ABC a long time ago. I think it was called like The Beast or something like that. It was basically like a Leviathan ripoff type deal, sea monsters. Um, so that also that was kind of his like version of Stephen King's Shining. Like he's like, well, Jaws didn't quite get my movie right, so I'd like to do this movie, this Beast miniseries. And it was like I said, Leviathan's better. So now he's walking through Amity Island, and we kind of see it's got this quaint little. It feels like a '50s movie. He's on his way to work, and everything's kind of screwball. This all feels like Jimmy Stewart stuff, and that's the charm. You want things to be sweet and kind, so you worry about these people. It's like, oh, these are some hapless fools. I don't want them to get eaten by that shark. Um, Orca, the killer whale. It's Jaws meet Moby Dick. Russell says that. My friend Mikey's Morg used to talk about Orca. In his opinion, Orca was better than Jaws. I obviously thought he was being hot takey, but I've always wanted to rewatch Orca because it does have a following because it came out shortly after Jaws, or yeah, shortly after Jaws, right? Vic Morrow. Um, and some people say it's a superior film. I think that's absurd because, like I say, this is a flawless movie. But I'd be really interested in watching Orca again. I picked up the book a few years ago and was blown away by the things they cut out of the movie. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems with adapting a book to a film is, a book is 300 pages and a screenplay at tops is like 120. So you got to immediately cut out more than half the story just to, get it right. Not to mention the whole thing with most books deal with a lot of internal dialogue and monologues like that, things going on inside the head, as opposed to movies where you everything is verbalized. That's why I mentioned the whole kind of like uh, conflict between emotion and logic that goes on with the characters around Brody. We can't hear what's going on in his mind, so we can hear what logic would say or what emotion would say. The old Captain Kirk trick. Um, Never been scared of sharks myself, although I don't live anywhere near an ocean. That helps. Yeah, I've been. I remember one time, the first time I ever really went to the ocean in South Carolina. I'd been to the Atlantic Ocean up north, where it's colder, and I grew up on the Great Lakes, so I've been to what looks like an ocean, visually, but isn't, and there's no fear of sharks. But I remember being in South Carolina, and my cousin and I kind of waded out far, into the water, and we saw a fin pop up. And he and I started running so fast, it looked like a Richard Pryor movie. I swear he got on top of the water and ran for a minute. And we turned around and got back to shore. Once the water was down by our knees, we looked and it was a dolphin. Um, I think the fear of sharks and the fear that this taps into, and the fear that Creature from the Black Lagoon and all of them tap into, uh, water is basically like dark. You can't see what's going on beneath the water line. You might see down to your stomach or whatever, but so the feeling of not knowing what's going on with your feet, or what's going on down there by my knees. So there's something about that like helplessness. Like I say, it's a cousin of fear of the dark. Um, and then sharks themselves, I mean, they're just they're just a big mouth with a body attached to it. So they're sort of they're zombies is basically what they are, except they're not dead. They just do what they do and eat everything in front of it. The perfect killing machine. So now we're seeing the beach at Amity, and this all feeds the movie so well. Like seeing the families, some of them are dorky. You're seeing the old folks. You see the heavyset lady walking to the beach. It's like none of these folks are equipped to be dealing with a shark. Oh, by the way, Ben Grimm is here. Welcome, Ben Grimm. I read your comment but didn't shout you out. Ben Grimm, welcome to have you. Um, Bone is the what? It's a great film, very scary. Yeah, I love Jaws. Here's Roy Scheider sitting on the beach with his family, looking bored. And this is part of the buildup. Like I said, you want to establish who they are, make you care about the people and the world they're in and stuff. And just seeing him sort of bored with his little mundane, there's not a lot of crime on Amity. I don't think he's busting a lot of like heroin pushers. So the fact that when this shark thing happens, he's totally not equipped. I mean, who is? Jacques Cousteau. Orca is kind of a sad motion picture, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, I don't like I said, I saw it once when I was a kid. I remember renting it, and then since then it's built a cult following, and I've been meaning to revisit it. You know that often happens. Things when you watch with a child's eyes look different when you're an adult, or when you're a little more knowledgeable about film. Certain things hit better. This is one of the only things I don't like about this is early on we kind of see. Well, I suppose we have already found the lady with the crab, the torso lady with the crabs all over it, because he's like paranoid early. Like he kind of has an idea a shark's coming, but he's and here's this awesome shot. This they do it's very Brian De Palma. They use what they call split screen diopter, and you basically do a split screen, but then you use like a dissolve in the edge line, so it kind of there's this blurry weird out of focus thing down the middle of the screen, but you get two images in focus at once. So De Palma was sort of a master and been big at this time, and a lot of people mimic what he did. This one is to me is one of Spielberg's more showy camera movies. Obviously the famous compression shot where Roy Scheider realizes that the his son's in trouble and the shark's out there or whatever, and they basically you push the camera in while zooming out, or vice versa, you pull out and zoom in, and it does this crazy effect that makes the person in the center stay perfectly in focus and centered, but everything behind them go and it's been, people knew about it forever, but Spielberg is the first one to really make that shot like signature. That's the language of film. That's what that needs to be used for, is that feeling when your stomach drops out and you're like, "Oh shit." Like that's and Spielberg captures that perfectly with that one shot. We're getting ready to come up on it. That's part of the reason I'm rambling about it. Patrick says, but the book does change the story all the way around. Jaws, it's different. Yeah, getting back to what I was talking about earlier with Jaws, this one it incorporates a lot in the adaptation. I feel like there is a whole big Moby Dick thing here with Quint and his vengeance towards sharks from the whole Indianapolis thing. So now we got shark vision, and we see just the kid's legs flopping around in the water, and then we see the oh my god, yeah, a child actor being devoured with just a torrent of blood pushing up. And there's the shot. I love it. It's perfect. And just the way the people in the crowd are reacting, like the beach, they're not running away like trampling all over each other like you would think. There's this like confusion where they're looking around like, is this a prank? Is my kid safe? Like, it doesn't just look like the mad rush to get off the beach like most other movies would do. It feels like a real accident. For a young man, Spielberg really has his finger on the pulse of just what would really happen, you know. I suppose it's like anything, the old professional wrestling rule. If you take the stuff that's real and you give them what they know is real, when you mix in something fake, it blends in. That's a great shot. The little floaty swim deal, all ripped up, floating in on the beach with the blood around it. And then there's the famous reward, $3,000 bounty. Patrick says Cujo is very sad. Cujo is sad. To me, Cujo's sad for a lot of reasons. I mean, it starts off with like a couple like kind of breaking up their family, and then they're trying to get it back together, whatever they're doing. So there's all this like sad family coming apart thing, and that little boy is sick, and then that poor dog. Like, yeah, Cujo's super sad. Cujo is actually, while we're on it, to me, Cujo is Jaws. Like it's the same concept. The idea of we have a monster outside the thing and we're trapped on the boat, or we're trapped in the Pinto, or whatever the hell it is, Gremlin, whatever her car is. Um, and the monster is outside and we're here. And what are we going to do the next time the monster comes back? So here we're seeing this sort of PTA community meeting, and these people with their 70s game show host outfits. That's the problem with nowadays. I miss the 70s. Folks didn't wear like turtleneck sweaters in the summer, you know. Everybody looks like they kind of stink. Hair's a little too big. Them mutton chops. Dude, those mutton chops, you got to cut down. A lot of folks with comb overs. Big comb over era of the 70s. Bones is a channel, not a doctor. He's both, you know. That Bones. I was so confused. People should just avoid books and watch the motion pictures like The Shining. There is a chance that the book is better than the movie. I totally agree, Hobbs. Down with reading. No, I find I actually prefer it the other way around. Whenever anybody reads the book, me included, and then you watch the movie doesn't quite live it up to it. But if you go the other way and you watch the movie and then you go back and read the book as like, oh, I want to learn the expanded story or how thing was different, and discuss that, then it's more interesting and cool. You know, there's been a few things at Kill Bill. I read the screenplay before it ever came out, and I remember watching it thinking, this is all wrong. And that was the screenplay, not even an adaptation. Hobbs, it is sad. The Shining book is way better, Hobbs. Shining book and Shining movie, totally different animals. I've done the watch along of The Shining, but I've also done a watch along of Room 237 on the channel, and that's a fascinating documentary that explains everything going on in The Shining. And in that one, they really break down kind of the difference between King's Shining and Kubrick's Shining. They're different experiences, which is part of the charm of it. If you want to read a book, just look at the back cover, right? Orca is awesome. Bones is an Orca fan. So here's when Quint shows up. Y'all know me. That's why I wore this shirt. He just kind of steals the show. Like he's sitting in this room and everybody's just staring around him like they have this awe and reverence for him. And everything he says is just like jam packed with intrigue. The Indianapolis speech is about as good as anything that's ever been on screen. It's right there with True Romance, Walken, and uh, uh, Dennis Hopper. Like there are some scenes that are just forever amazing, and him doing the Indianapolis speech later is just perfection. Why don't I have my subtitles on? There we are. Say, thank you. Where was I? Bones have DVD, but not Jaws. Um, nah, books are just as fun as watching paint dry. LOL. Yeah, I mean, personally, I've always been a movie guy, which is weird because, I'm up late at night. You would think I'd fall in love with books because they're quiet. But the problem is you always have to have a light on. And that was the thing that would give me away as a kid. Like the movies, I could turn the room dark and put a movie on, especially an old black and white deal. And my mom would just think like, oh, he's laying there watching his thing while he's trying to fall asleep or whatever. But if she came in and the lights were on and I was reading, book, comic book, whatever, it'd be like, all right, you shut this down, young man. Richard Harris dies the same way in Smilia's Sense of Snow. Things I didn't know. Richard Harris. How do we get on Richard Harris? Books are made for coasters for coasters for beers. That's possible. I will not have this book blasphemy. This is a very anti-intelligence quadrant. Cal L. Daly is here. Superman, nice to see you, my friend. Welcome, Cal. Cal, what do you think? Is Jaws a perfect movie? Cal's always got hot takes. I bet he'll hate it. Um, Reading is good for you. It is good for you. Reading's a different experience than movies. Reading is all about like going into yourself to find the story, and watching a movie is all going out. You're riding an animal instead of internalizing it and meditating on it. Russ no fuss. So is beer. You're right. I use my Bible as a coffee coaster. Oh, you guys. 75, not 44. I thank you. See, earlier today I posted an ad for or a post for this, and in the middle of it, my baby started crying, and I put the year of my birth instead of the year of the movie. And our friend here, Prince 15, Princey Doobie Doohausen, stop. Made sure to correct me. So I apologize. I didn't mean to make you look bad. I did edit the post, so I would not find anyone else offended by this. But yeah, this was born when, or this. Let me back that up and restart so people understand. This movie came out 1 year after I was born, the summer after. So it's special to me because it's been around my whole life. Like Jaws just feels like the classic, cornerstone. Cal-El says he's never seen Jaws, and I say, how dare you? Cal, you've never seen Jaws? How? Get out of here. Watch Jaws, Cal. Yeah, this is a movie I would recommend everybody watch. Some of the movies I watch on the channel, we watched Beast of Bray Road last time, and nobody should ever watch that movie. My commentary's fine. My commentary is better than that movie. Oof. Um, but in most instances, I recommend, I do stuff that's pretty amazing or notable, important films, things that are historically stuff that folks should see, things that you should watch because it's awesome, and things they show in film school. Um, so Jaws is, yeah, a 10 out of 10. It's a masterwork. I should find a book without pictures and make you read it, Hobbs. That's a lot. That's a lot. I do prefer magazines. Three mechanical sharks, one to turn left, one to turn right, one to go straight. Yeah, he's talking about the as they do always, right? We'll leave this up actually. As they do always when movies are being made, they want to use the technology of the time. And the technology of the time kind of helps define the movie and the era it's made in and why it needs to be remade or whatever. So obviously, when movies are black and white, or movies were silent, they wanted to go to color or have sound. And then when movies are black and white, they wanted to go to color. And, they figured out perfect effects as far as like latex and everything. And then we got to the height of that, and then suddenly it moved on to CGI, and everything had to be CGI. And the time when this movie came out, they were big on animatronics, robots. So they tried to make these robot sharks, right? Well, you don't have to be too smart to figure out a damn robot's going to be made out of some kind of metal to protect all the gears and whatnot. And when you stick it in water, it's going to have issues. So these fools made these robot sharks and put them in the water, and they would sink, or they would get, waterlogged and start acting screwy. Sometimes they'd attack people and stuff. Um, so that's one of the reasons they say this movie works, is they overcame the problem of not being able to show the shark. We still haven't gotten really a good look at it. We kind of saw a small part of the nose pop up when it attacked that kid on the beach, but otherwise it's all shark point of view. We've talked about this with like Friday the 13th Part 1. It hides who the killer is when we see the point of view shot. Um, so yeah, they had to cut around the shark and make it more scary. The classic monster concept where we don't get a good look at the monster until the end, or if it lives in the shadows, our brain sort of spackles over the mistakes and makes it something awesome in our imagination. But once we get a good look at it, that's what it is. So yeah, there was all these mechanical sharks. They were always failing. The sharks were nicknamed, or the shark in general was nicknamed Bruce. That's Steven Spielberg's attorney. So sometimes, or his lawyer, whatever. So sometimes you'll hear them refer to Bruce in this. Uh, and speaking of Russell, he loves him some Bruces. What is that, Bones? Oh, Skull and Bones. Clarkness says best movie ever. Welcome, Clarkness. Glad to have you here. Yeah, I love Jaws. It's perfect. It's, even now, this old man walking up Amity Harbor, Master Frank Silva, and he's got the hat on and the thing. It's just so corny. It all feels like a 50s movie. When we see these fools showing up trying to catch the bounty on the shark. Where are we at? We're at the 2812 mark. So we're pretty much done with the first act, of course. So here we are. We've established where we're at. We've established that the shark is attacking people. Now we're going to start the second act by bringing in, the bounty, and then the fact that they have to catch this shark. They know it's there. I'm guessing at the roughly 1 hour mark is when we're going to have the argument of whether or not the shark has been caught. Because that's usually what you do. Halfway through the story, there's going to need to be a twist. Most people think a plot twist is like a surprise, but really, every movie is supposed to have a plot twist. In the middle of the story, it's supposed to sort of change a little bit to keep you going for the rest of the movie. So I would guess at the halfway mark here is about when we'll start getting into that argument of whether or not the shark they found that has like the license plate and tire and stuff in it, if that one is the real shark or not. So Richard Dreyfuss shows up, and he's looking around and realizing these fools are idiots. Like, they're overloading the boats. They got bullets and stuff. They're in danger. Who else would you cast instead of Richard Dreyfuss in this role? How about if you were recasting Jaws nowadays? Who would you cast in these parts? I would go for Hooper. Or for Brody, let's say Ryan Gosling. And then Tom Hardy, he always works for everything. Actually, for Tom Hardy, I would go with for Quint. That's kind of perfect. And then the Richard Dreyfuss, I don't know. Who's your nerd du jour? I'm sure some TV show probably has some clever, funny nerd you could stick in that role. The lake going down in the water was funny. This if you like dark comedy, this movie's got a bunch in it. Pretty sure the boy died in Cujo. The asthmatic boy, Jonathan, what's his name from Who's the Boss? Jonathan, Mona, Samantha. In Cujo, the boy dies. Okay, yes, we're don't spoil the book. Bring back the comb over, right? Just that's what I'm saying. Everybody in this movie's got a style that never really came back. Like everything comes back, bell bottoms and oh, we're having '90s nostalgia. Everybody's got the windbreaker and the silly glasses again. Nah, some of the stuff from the '70s just never came back. The big furry ass like Martin Van Buren friggin' mutton chops and the comb over that starts here and comes over. A lot of people, you were way more likely to see an old man that looked like Wolverine back then. The big, reading is good for you. I agree, Echo. Thank you. A moment of sanity. Don, how's the new baby girl doing? She is doing wonderful. Little Miss Mia is. The problem is, Mia is or Mia, Jesus, Lily. That shows you how overtired and dumb I am. My new daughter is Lily. My previous daughter, who's a year and a half old now, is Mia. So Mia and Lily have been pretty adorable together. The 1.5-year-old seems to think she's the big sister and try to take care of the little one. The little one, Lily, is she's a lot like me. And that's cool to see a little baby whose face looks like me and she's got these big ass feet and stuff. It's funny. She's got green eyes, but at the same time, she's got daddy's farting issue. That baby farts so loud, like man. Like when nobody's around, I usually let one fly, and then if nobody's around, I kind of just hold it. Or if some people are around, I hold it. But that baby, she don't care. She will put periods on every conversation. Sometimes me and the missus will be talking about dinner and just it's like, that was the baby? She doesn't even weigh 10 pounds. Where'd that come from? But she is well. Thank you. I appreciate it, Russell. Clarkness, that's true about the books and the movies. If I already read the book, the movie can be kind of boring. Yeah, like I say, the best way for me personally is to do it from the movie lover out. If somebody's like, oh, did you know Back to the Future was based on a book? Or like Die Hard was based on a book. Like I would read the Die Hard book, but I wouldn't want to read it and then see Die Hard. You'd ruin one of the best movies ever. So here's the part where they're talking about they're dissecting the woman who was destroyed. This is not a boating accident. So many memorable, awesome lines. And then he's got to splash the water on his face, like, oh man, just saw some stuff, bro. And then here's where they caught the shark and they're all excited and they think they got it. And it's like, there's no way this is the shark. Our shark's way bigger than this. What time are we at? We're at the 33-minute mark. So no, the halfway mark won't be the this isn't our shark. I wonder what the halfway mark's going to be when they go out to the ocean. Duh. Yeah, that's when everybody's going to get on the boat. I bet at the 2 hour or at the 1 hour mark. Russell Collier says, "Love True Romance. Yeah, it's magnificent." We've also watched that on the channel. I encourage you to go to the Night Owl Movie Talk YouTube page or the Spotify channel or your favorite podcast provider channel where the whole back catalog is there. True Romance is one of them. Baby Owlet News, Don. Yeah, yeah. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, I'm sure you get to see pictures of the baby all the time. She's kind of adorable. Cheap, cheap. I basically just had the baby for likes. Right? Like everybody, if I post I'm doing a show, I get like 4 or 5 likes. I post the baby, I get 95. What the hell? It made me laugh. Don't worry. Oh, thank you, Princey 15, Princey Doopy Doohausen. This is the best name. And does your Hausen have anything to do with Danhausen? Um, no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you correcting me. You caught me quick. You saved me. Not movies about a killer tuna never grabbed me, but I'll guess I'd watch it one day. I feel you. If you're not an ocean person, or you live near the ocean, or you have any interest in water, like I said, I grew up near the Great Lakes. It's weird. It's almost like living in the Northeast, like in somewhere um uh, New England area, somewhere up there. It's all by the water and it's cold and there's plenty of folks who just wear like the like crewman cargo jackets and the winter caps and stuff. It's all very similar. Like Richard Dreyfuss's outfit right there. It's the middle of summer and my man's got a winter cap on. I love the long takes in Jaws. Thank you, Clarkness. Get me back on track. I'm so easily distracted. Yeah, Spielberg is a master. He's taken kind of a beating because he's been around for so long. The old you either die a hero or live to see yourself become the villain. So a lot of folks nowadays often crap on Spielberg or they act unimpressed, but he's just a master. He's had 3 or 4 Hall of Fame careers, in my opinion. If you look at his early work with Jaws and Close Encounters and Duel and Raiders of the Lost Ark, etc. That alone is enough to make you like an all-time great, powerhouse master director. But then you move on to the next phase of his career, plus all the stuff he, produced. You look at Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, yada yada yada, Saving Private Ryan. How many directors ever have hits like 5 years apart and then 10 years apart? And then, like they usually get their hit and they're done. But Spielberg's just a master. This scene right here, while we've been talking about long takes, hasn't cut once. It's amazing staging. It's just a 3 shot, and they've got Dreyfuss up close, and occasionally he turns, and you can actually, it's so crystal clear, you can see through his glasses and see like people change as they walk in front of his glasses. Lots of comb overs passing in front of those glasses. Yeah, so excellent observation, Clarkness. Yeah, part of the charm of this movie is the Spielberg's just master directing. Oh, here comes the damn lady. This one's a tough one. The widow, or the what do you call it? The mourning mother, and she's got like the black outfit and the veil because her son died, and she's all sad, and she smacks the shit like because it's classic emotional drama, like right there, melodrama. We feel her. She's sad. Her son died. And then, she's telling him, I found out a girl died last week. You didn't close the beach. You let my boy die. So we're kind of like, you don't deserve to smack him, but at the same time, kind of on her side. And this is one of the catalysts that gets him really motivated to not let this happen again, which gets his silly ass out on the boat later on. If you're new to watching movies, this is my advice to fellow young people. Start with Spielberg's Jaws, and I'm excited for Disclosure Day, baby. Yeah, I love me some Jaws. As I was saying, I'm looking at it now, and it feels like a movie older than it is, which is part of its charm. One of the reasons I love the birds is just how the buildings look and the wardrobe and stuff. And this almost has that, but it's still new enough where it doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel glossy or fake. There's nothing digital about any of this. And just like this old man back there, when's the last time I saw a movie with that old man's face in it? Like just an old rugged man, lines on his face, just standing in the background, adding character to the scene. That shark they caught, there's no way that's the shark. Yeah, they're idiots. I'm on Dreyfuss's side. Did you ever recognize Spielberg's cameo? He's the one talking to Quint on the radio. I didn't know that. That's a heads up. Interesting, really. Is Deep Water better than Jaws? That is an excellent question. Go to Night Owl Movie Talk YouTube page right now and you vote, or, well, I don't think those polls end. So feel free to find the poll where I ask, what's the second best shark movie? All right, I worked from the premise that Jaws is the best, right? So what's the second best Jaws movie? Let me know in the comments or the chat right now. Um, my pick is maybe Open Water. I really like Deep Blue Sea, but Deep Blue Sea is kind of ridiculous. It's sort of the Fast and Furious of shark movies. Um, what's it called? Shallow Water, The Shallows. I hear The Shallows is very good. The Reef, I think it's called, is supposed to be good. Those are the ones that I put out there. Sharknado is obviously always available. Um, so here's, I'm sorry, I got distracted. This is a scene that touches me as a father. Shit like this, stuff like this happens all the time, and it's very sweet. Where he's in his own world, frustrated and mad. He's at the dinner table. He's not thinking about his family at all, and he looks over, and his son, who looks a lot like my 1.5-year-old daughter, is like mimicking him. And my daughter does that to me all the time. I'll look at her and just see her like copying what I'm doing. The other day, I put hand sanitizer on. I looked over at her, and she was going, "You didn't get any. Why are you doing that?" One day I was editing and I had headphones on and I turned around and she was standing at the foot of the bed laughing, holding up a stuffed baby owl with earmuff sound like it's a Christmas owl. And she was holding it up and showing it to me. That's you. That's you. So him and his interplay with his son here, very sweet. And, it breaks up the emotional. Everything's so sad right now. These two people have died, a kid, a girl. This woman smacked Roy Scheider. So to have this little moment with his son is very sweet, and it also reminds us what we're fighting for. Why this is important to him. Scheider's acting his ass off right here. He's doing good. Like ever since this whole thing's developed, he's gotten more and more like depressed. You can tell things are weighing on him. What's your second favorite Roy Scheider movie? I'm going 52 Pickup? He was in some movie. He was a bad guy. He turned up like as I don't know, somebody in the government or something. I was like, Roy Scheider? Um, you know what? Let's do it. Let's see what Roy Scheider's filmography is. I don't think he's been. I'm trying to think of what else I know him for that he's. What does his IMDb says famous for? Nothing. Yeah, they don't give him a known for. That's sad. Roy Scheider's not known for anything other than Jaws. Oh, Peter Benchley is in this too. I didn't know he had a cameo. He was that interviewer on the beach. I think he comes up later. Roy Scheider is most known for what? No, 52 Pickup? Oh, Jaws, All That Jazz, The French Connection, and Jaws 2. I forgot he was in All That Jazz. Yeah, that's probably his biggest after Jaws. French Connection, he's in it, but I always think of that as like a Hackman movie. Jaws 2, no one should give any consideration to. I like 52 Pickup. Let's see where that's at. Um, yeah, he's done a whole bunch of he's done 89 things. His last thing was in 2009. I'm assuming he passed away in 2008. So good for him. He made one thing after he passed away. So yeah, he passed away in 2009. Shout out to Roy Scheider. He's pretty amazing. This is the scene with the wine. I love this too, where you can tell he's having a bad day. He's like, "Here, I brought this wine for dinner," and then they have the little wine glasses. Then he fills up like the big tall glass. Like, yeah, buddy, it's been that kind of day. I've been there. Daybreak, Falling Through. Man, Roy Scheider's filmography not all that impressive. Um, Sequest. Y'all remember Sequest? Um, The Russia House. Night Game. That's the one Night Game and 52 Pickup. Those are the two I would say to check out for Roy Scheider besides that. 2010, the year we make contact. He's actually good in that as well. I didn't know I wasn't on board with a sequel to 2001, but if you're going to. Blue Thunder. Duh. Yeah, I would have to say Blue Thunder for me ahead of All That Jazz, regardless of what the critics would say. You guys ever seen Blue Thunder? Oh, never mind. Sorcerer. You guys ever seen Sorcerer? Sorcerer is rather amazing. I uh I would say Scheider for me goes Jaws, Sorcerer. Let me double check. Jaws, Sorcerer. He's in Marathon Man? I didn't know that. Um yeah, but Jaws, Sorcerer, Blue Thunder, and then 52 Pickup Night Game. Night Game's cool. It's like a serial killer kind of, cheesy thriller, good late night TV schlocky kind of thing. I enjoyed it. Let's see here. Seen many films, the good and the bad in our 69 years. Yeah, that's the beauty of film. Clark, it shall be watched. I love how Martha's Vineyard became another character in the movie. If I recall, there was only like 7 actual actors. Everybody else was locals. Yeah, that's what I mean about the folks in it. They look real. Like the background folks in it, normally you wouldn't show background characters in that close up to give it that much life. Normally they're just there to add humanity, like, crowd. But the people here, the folks, you actually get a look at them. It looks like somebody's great uncle so and so in the background. I think it will surprise you. It's quite scary. Dreyfus turned down the role 3 times before accepting. They must have really wanted him. Yeah, I know. I don't get why he did that. I mean, at the time, Dreyfus was a big deal, but it was beneficial for him because then later on, obviously, I would think Close Encounters probably. Oh, wait a minute. Close Encounters was what, 81? Oh, 77. Okay, so yeah, 2 years after. So yeah, you would assume that Dreyfuss got the role of Close Encounters because of his work with Spielberg on this. So here's the part where they're dissecting the shark and they're realizing there's no way that they ate that. Are we at the 2 hour mark? Ooh, 119. 45-minute mark. All right. So yeah, 45-minute mark. So we got another 15. So I bet you when they go out on the boat, it'll be at the 2 hour mark. As I recall, this last time I watched it, I kind of kept notes of where the screenplay was going and the timing of it. And this was one. Some movies are just flawless with their timing. Like, this is a 2 hour movie, so the first act should wrap up about a half hour in. 1 hour in mark, there should be a plot twist. Then, the hour and a half mark should be the start of the third act. And then, the all is lost point should happen somewhere at like the 145 mark or something. So now here we've got Scheider and Dreyfuss out on this boat, and you can see Roy Scheider's just like terrified. He's got the big, like, ridiculous orange safety vest on. He looks like a little kid. Robert Duvall would have made a great Quinn. I think he was considered. I agree. I don't know. There's something about Shaw though. I don't really know. Like Shaw's been in. Well, what else has Robert Shaw been in? Let's do that real quick before everybody's gonna leave. But let me see what else Robert Shaw I know him from. Best known for A Man for All Seasons, The Sting. Yeah, that's probably why he's most famous for, I would say. But yeah, Shaw is a guy I don't think of a lot for things. Like I'm not like, oh, Robert Shaw. I love me some Robert Shaw. But at the same time, he steals this movie in his little parts. That Indianapolis speech is perfection. I don't know if Robert Duvall could have given that. He might have. Robert Duvall's ability to like just hold a scene and talk, and be emotional. What about Bob and American Graffiti? Oh, Richard Dreyfuss? I'm just kidding, guys. Back books are fine. Oh, I don't have the attention span to read them. Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm a big book fan. I just don't always got time. You know what I mean? Got to carry it around with you. People's like, "Oh, get a Kindle." Stacy is here. Welcome, Stacy. Hello, and thanks from Stacy. Do you like Scrabble? I do. I'm a very wordy, big lexicon, verbose kind of fellow. The problem is Mrs. Night Owl's a Scrabble shark. She has kicked my ass at Scrabble so many times, and it's frustrating because she knows how to use all the triple and double word scores, and she'll use of and kitten and kick my ass when I used supercilious or something. So yeah, I like Scrabble. Not always so good at it. I'm glad you all enjoy them. Books or Scrabble? Uh, Bob is a classic, Russell. Yeah, what about Bob is great. Baby steps onto the boat. Baby steps on the shore. So this is a scene one of the ones I always think of this movie when they're out, Dreyfuss and Scheider are out on this boat and they're in the dark and it, this is a scene in black and white that's just perfect because it's so much missing. And even now when they come across this old, boat floating in the water, there's just like a ghost ship. And they're talking about like what happened. He's a fisherman. And you kind of get the idea that this dude's been attacked out here and it's eerie even though nothing's going on. It's perfect scariness. A lot of fog. Fog on the water, extra creepy. Um, Speaking of fog on the water, one of the things we mentioned earlier is the budget for this movie ballooned. Um, it was originally supposed to be like 3.5 million to make, and the final budget was somewhere between 7 and 9 million. So it went double the original planned budget. And when you think about this movie at 3.5, back in 1970s money, I'm not sure it's the same movie. I think the fact that they had to spend so much helped it. Um, but also when you figure whether they spent 7 or 9 on it, it ended up making over the years with all its re-releases, it's made somewhere just under $500 million. So pretty good investment. Pretty good investment. So yeah, here's where he goes in the water at night, and they got the yellow lights on under the boat. This is just lit perfectly. So much good underwater photography in this. Once again, using the technology of the day. It's like, ooh, how do we make this? How do we use the best Jacques Cousteau stuff ever? And the isolation of being in the water, like, water and space are used kind of the same way in movies. It's like you're just there in a void, and whatever's around you, you're open to whatever. Yeah, the slow buildup of this. Now he's found the shark tooth in the side of the boat. And we see, he's got scuba diving skills. He can handle himself. So later on, when he has to go in the cage and we see how terrified he is, it's extra like, oh, yeah, he don't want to be down there. And there's the head. Once again, a PG movie. A decapitated head floating in the water. There he pulls off his goggles, and I'm reminded of the scene later on with he's like, I don't have any spit. Like he's so so nervous about doing this whole thing. He's like, I have no spit. And the narrator in Stand By Me for Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, oh, Dreyfuss is fantastic. Dreyfuss, he seems like he could be a pain in the ass to work with, I would imagine, if you had to direct him and guide him. But the performance you get, he's always great. He's Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, the stupid Goodbye Girl is even good. Make Jaws 1776. Ben Franklin stops sharks with electricity. They really have old time sword. I like that. See, Stacy's always got the twist. She's always got her. She knows when to go for the big box office as well as the Sci-Fi Channel. The only books I can ever recall actually getting through was The Outsiders. No, I've read a ton of books. I think my favorite book is probably Moby Dick. I said Dick. Um, Moby Dick or Lord of the Flies is fantastic. I've read a bunch of the Stephen King stuff. I went through a phase where I enjoyed reading. I went through a quiet phase, as hard as that is to believe, and I like to just kind of keep to myself. So it was good to have a Stephen King paperback handy. And then when I got into movies and movie making, I read so many movies about, or so many movies, so many books about movies and the theory behind making them and plot structure and, artistic concepts, the framing and things like that. There's whole books on scene framing, you know. So a lot of that stuff I read later. But as far as a good novel, I haven't effed with a good novel in a long time. Hi, Don. You still a fan of Sonny Chiba? Remember the Asian action assassin after all? Yes, Sonny Chiba is fantastic. I think we talked about him before. Was that me and you would talk about that? The Street Fighter series. Once again talking about True Romance. It's not so much that Sonny Chiba is a kung fu man; he's just a badass. There's the funny where they graffiti the billboard of Amity, and they help shark framed impeccably. Somehow they fill up the three characters talking, fill up the frame, but they somehow manage to have the Amity Island, graffiti billboard thing in the background clear as day. Shooting at low angle as they're discussing whether or not they should show the beach because they're showing these are the people that have the power in this scene. The HD transfer on this is fantastic. The corduroy on my man, the mayor's jacket, like you feel like you could rub it and go. Let's see here. Then make one 1900s and call it all dumb about sharks, etc. I could think it. I like it. What about Back to the Future meets Jaws? Like Marty McFly goes to Amity Island the day before the shark attacks happen and stops it. Doc Brown tries to comb his hair back, does a comb over and blend in. Biff gets eaten. Still Jaws, Crazy Jaws, violently kills a child. You ever see that? Can't think of many movies that do that. That's what I mean about this movie. This and Poltergeist are two of the biggest examples of just, I can't believe these movies are not R, but the rating system and how they judged things back then was so much different. Like I say, this movie opens up with a nude woman getting eaten to death, like devoured brutally, all sorts of blood. They make a future Jaws with sharks and the mayor, scientist and the sheriff, and the character haunts the humans like a Quint. Shark of all people, Sharks Jaws 2275. I would like that. The robot shark with the laser eye. I just want sharks with freaking lasers. Is that so hard to ask? Hi, thanks also and all for modern Jaws. Sandra Bullock as Hooper's niece. Ooh, I don't know about that. Maybe. Who's your Brody? The little boy in this looks a lot like the little boy in The Omen. Just saying. Is it the same little boy? Maybe I'm a little boyist. They all look alike to me. McConaughey is Quint grandson. Ooh, McConaughey. All right, all right, all right. I like any movie with McConaughey, and I like the idea of McConaughey fighting sharks. Any shark movie, I'm pro McConaughey, and that's a great casting. Patrick was Roy Scheider stand-in for filming of Blue Thunder. Oh, I could see that. Yes, Danhausen rules. You are cursed. Um, make shark rom make shark rom com. How about sharkromcom.com? Um, did you guys ever see Bad CGI Sharks? That's a classic. It's based on the idea that these people are making a movie with bad CGI sharks, and something happens, and the sharks get out of the computer and start attacking people. So it's a great way to just use bad overlays. I love schlock. So now we're kind of dealing with one of the many amazing parts of Jaws is so there's Peter Benchley, the police or the police announcer, the TV announcer guy, and he's got like the big huge butterfly collar. Huh. That's Peter Benchley, huh? He looks like I don't know, he'd be in a jerk cop in a TV show. It's hard to believe he's a writer. Um, the beauty of Jaws, like most horror movies are more scary situation movies, whatever you want to call it. Um, the thing just happens, and then the folks try to deal with it, and then if they do a bunch of destruction and damage to the property or whatever, what are you going to do? We got to fight these dinosaurs or whatever. But in this, it's more real. So the problem isn't even so much like, hey, shark at the beach, close the beach. The government wants to step in and be like, we can't close the beach down. We're going to make all our money. Everybody will go bankrupt. As mayor, it's my job to make sure we all have money. If we say the sharks are out here killing everybody, no one's going to come. So the problem is compounded by greedy folks. And that's part of the beauty of Jaws, like that when problems arrive, you also have to like consider who's going to lose money and how long are they going to drag their feet because they don't want to start losing money. The kid's playing in the boat, and the father says, "Get out." His wife says they're okay until she's a pick a shark attacking, and then she freaks out. Funny. I agree, Russell. The market and Universal demand more Jaws movies. Yeah, that's the thing, though. Do they? Because Jaws at this point is, I mean, I know they're going to make a Jaws movie, and I'm waiting for them to just remake Jaws. It's going to have to happen. It's got too much like brand identity or whatever. Like, folks, you don't have to precondition the audience about what Jaws is. Everybody knows. Oh, shark. You know. But the problem is, I guess Jaws isn't trademarked or copywritten in any way. Something because I keep seeing Jaws in all these like low budget schlocky movies like Amityville Jaws and Jaws versus Boa Conda and stuff like um so I'm assuming that the name must have fell into public domain or it's just so vague you can use it. I don't know. It seems like Jaws for a shark is too distinct that there would be lawsuits, but there's not. Anyways, my point is there's a bunch of extra crappy B movies that have the name Jaws in it, not just Jaws 4. You guys ever see Jaws 4? Jaws 4 is amazing, right? Um, I saw this no, I never saw this in the theater. I saw 3 in the theater, and then 4, I think I saw at the Dollar Theater. When I was a kid, they used to have, like, after movies had their first run, then they would go to the cheapo, crappy theater that used to be a big theater, and then it went out of business. Somebody else bought it. And they would show movies for $1. So I saw Jaws 4 that way. But Jaws 3, I saw in the theater in 3D. That was a life experience. I still remember the fish in the theater, the cinema with us. So right now we're at the part where everybody's out in the water splashing around, and Brody's just a nervous wreck. And there's just so much going on. Like that's once again Spielberg master. Like we're supposed to be worried the shark's going to attack, so let's not just have like a few little situations where people are off. We can kind of look at them and be worried. No, we've got all the people. Everyone's on the beach. Everyone's in the water. Perfect day to fly a kite. Russ, did you like the Jaws sequels? Perfect timing to talk about those. Yeah. Like I say, I don't think is is there anything official after four, or they stop at four? Right? There's no like Jaws New Beginning or anything? Um, but yeah, I never enjoyed two the way most people do. A lot of people say two is fine. I don't really like two. Three I enjoy just because of the 3D, and there's so much of that classic 3D schlocky crap to it. Where like, here, have my glasses. That and all those movies of that era. The uh, what's that one? The Jared Sin or whatever. The dude in the Forbidden Zone and Friday the 13th Part Three. And dang, dude, I never realized that in this HD transfer, there's like this lifeguard. Apparently, they had to give us an up his short shot. Thanks for that. Looked like Scary Movie Part One. Best slap in movie history. I am way behind. I need to catch up. Yeah, it's up there for sure because it's resonant, right? If Roy Scheider wasn't Jaws, who do you cast as the sheriff? Yeah, I would go. I would go Gosling or Tom Hardy. I would have Tom Hardy play every role. That's how good Tom Hardy is. He could play the shark. Would you cast Quint if not Shaw? George C. Scott? Ooh, is George C. Scott still alive? Um, that's a fine question. Is George C. Scott still alive? No, he couldn't be, right? Yeah, he passed away in 1999. Geez, Don, give me a break. Um, yeah, at this time when they made it, sure, George C. Scott would probably be fine. Who else would I go with at this era? Um, hmm, hmm. Well, because I think this is the era when um, like, what's the words I'm looking for? Where you cast, you know, uh, why am I drawing a name on his Alec Guinness? Jeez, I couldn't believe I couldn't remember Obi-Wan's name. Where you cast Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan because these folks are lurking around. Peter Cushing in Star Wars and stuff. There's a lot of just good actors that have gotten old. When I watch The Fog, I'm always kind of taken back by John Houseman being at the beginning of it and stuff. There was a whole generation of good actors that had gotten pretty old. Marlon Brando by this time. So there's a whole bunch of like quality actors who are over, 60. Although a good actor who plays old could probably even be like 45, the old Wilford Brimley thing. I just look old. I've never seen the OG. OG what? I think Robert Duvall. Yeah, that's not a bad one. Give them. What about Gene Hackman? Give them a go rush. You might give them sequels, my friend. Thanks, fun watch parties and comments and discussions. Oh, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate you being here. You always help to keep the party alive, and that's part of the thing I enjoy about this is getting together with friends and watching these awesome movies that I love and people contributing their thoughts and teaching me new things and me spitting stuff out to them and us sharing thoughts and opinions and ideas and getting to the bottom of amazing movies and why they're amazing. So thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us. And be sure to like and subscribe and buy some merch. I always like Deep Blue Sea. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea's like I say, it's the Fast and Furious of these shark movies. It's ridiculous because it's so over the top and absurd, but it's kind of awesome. Open water is good. Open water's scary. It feels like something that could happen. Like I said, The Shallows is supposed to be really good. Dangerous Animals was good. Still need to see it. But there's a bunch of shark movies nowadays. What is that noise? I think it's one of my children. There's a bunch of shark movies. What's that one about underneath Paris or below Paris or some crap like that? It's like there's sharks underneath there. Netflix has a whole bunch of shark movies. Yeah, Rust Part 2 is definitely worth checking out. I can't defend 3 and 4. Yeah, 4 is terrible, although it's got Mario Van Peebles in it. 4 is the one where basically the shark has killed everyone, has killed Roy Scheider and killed everyone in his family, either by straight up murdering them in their shark ways or giving them a heart attack and just driving them to early grave or whatever the stress and tension. Man, that little kid looks just like my baby girl. Um, uh, uh, sorry, I got distracted. That little boy does look just like Mia. Um, so this is the part where his son almost is killed. He almost drowns, and they bring him up to the beach, and we get the now it's personal look. They're they're at the doctor's, and we see the son's gonna be okay. I think is this the son that grows up to be Dennis Quaid in part 3? Oh, anyways, we were talking about Jaws 4. Jaws 4 has you believe that after the Jaws has killed everyone in Roy Scheider's family and all that's left is Mama Jaws, or Mama Scheider here. She goes on vacation. She's like, you know what? I've got issues with sharks. So I'm going to need a vacation to get away from these sharks. The Caribbean? How about the Caribbean? Take your stupid ass to the mountains. You know, Siberia sounds nice this time of the year. You ever been to the Gobi Desert? Shit, what are you doing in the ocean when you got shark issues? Stupid. So right away, the movie's dumb before it even starts. And then Mario Van Peebles shows up and saves the whole thing. Killer Sand in the Sand. I like it. I've never seen the Sand. I hear it's good actually. The Sand, same type of thing. Scary. I also enjoyed the scene down there moment where his son is pretty special, right? With the like the the like it's cute. It adds the like love to it all. So you're like, oh, I hope nothing happens to this dude or his family. Like shark in the pond. French Connection Sorcerer is supposed to be good too. Sorcerer is amazing. I watched that once because of I travel in film nerd circles, and I'd heard Sorcerer was great, and I was like, I'd never heard of it, and I tracked it down and watched it and loved it. It's super. It's a descent into hell movie. These folks got to drive a rickety truck down a real crazy like canyon, and they've got a bunch of dynamite in the back. So it's like just tension the whole movie, but it's Sorcerer is a bad name for it. I don't know why they named it Sorcerer. I mean I do, but I wish they would have named it something else. But check out Sorcerer. I recommend it. Patrick had an argument with Roy Scheider during the making of 52 pickup, and he was not the stand-in anymore. That's the show business. I believe it. I believe it. He tried to let his cat sit on the actual 52 pickup. Kite film, the Seven Ups. All that jazz is Clarkness's favorite. Yeah, he plays what's that dude's name? Bob Fosse? Is that his name? I'm not a musicals guy, so forgive me. I'm Broadway dude, whatever the term I'm looking for. Um, but Roy Scheider, yeah, when I think of him, I don't think of him that highly. But just running through that list, it's like, oh yeah, Blue Thunder, and he's got his hits. Sorcerer is well worth watching. Would Bruce Dern have been good sheriff? I don't know. Bruce Dern's crazy. He's like skinny Gary Busey or something. Have you seen After Dark, My Sweet in the '90s noir with Bruce Dern and Jason Patrick? I've not. I will add it to the list. After Dark, My Sweet. Okay. Scheider gets in. Romeo is bleeding. See that once it's underrated. I've seen Romeo is bleeding. That's what I mean. Later on, Scheider, towards the end of his career, he just sort of like turned up and stuff. Just bureaucratic dudes. Uh, like I say, politicians and corporate jerks and stuff. He just sort of had like an old rich guy look about him as he got older. Um, but young, like I say, part of his strength is he has a relatable everyman, but he also looks like he kick your ass. He's got a little Bruce Willis thing to him. Bruce Willis is funnier, so it's a different animal. But yeah, Blue Thunder in 2010 he excels. Yeah, Blue Thunder, or I'm sorry, 2010 spends a lot of time with Roy Scheider and him and his relationship with his family and all of that. They tried to mix in Jaws stuff in it. Um, 2010 is weird because it's sort of like forgives Hal. Like 2001, Hal is kind of the villain, even though it's a computer. It's not really a villain, it's programming. I was drawn this way. Just tie me a sheepshank. Things I say to strangers all the time. Um, yeah, so 2010 is pretty damn good. Bruce Dern was the only actor to kill John Wayne. Oh, yeah, I do think I know that trivia. Never seen Sorcerer. Fantastic. Sorcerer, a strange title for an action drama. Yeah, I've never got that. That's the problem with Sorcerer. I think it's the name is too metaphorical rather than should just be like dynamite truck, kaboom explosion. Patrick was the one going hot on Clint Eastwood land. Clint said, "Hippie, get off my lawn." I could see Patrick. No, Patrick don't like the reefer, so I couldn't see him doing that. But I could see Clint Eastwood telling him that either way. White Line Fever with Jan Michael Vincent and Hooper, but Burt Reynolds. I don't think I've seen White Line Fever. Hooper, I've seen for sure. So where are we at now? This is where Hooper, Quint, and Brody are all kind of arguing and talking about I'm mate, master pilot, and I'm captain. Um, yeah, so we're at the 109 mark. There's 54 left, and they're not on the boat, the water yet. Huh? Thinking. Um, I'm thinking the shark scene must have been the inciting twist. Like, okay, now we're going to move on to the ocean half of the movie. You know, the first half is all on Amity, and now we're going to get out on this boat. I remember the first time watching this, not understanding the barrel thing at all. And it's a really clever writing device or, plot visual device, I should say, but like just keeping track of what is going on. Oh, the barrels have popped back up. If you could remake a movie and had to replace the actors, who would you replace them with? The question is for everyone. Yeah, I know that's a toughie. Murray Hamilton would have been a good game show host. I'm Murray Hamilton. Welcome to Martha's Vineyard Match Game. See if you match up good with a shark. I'm down for it. Sorcerer was great. Saw it on YouTube. I bet that is one that's floating around on YouTube, either through YouTube regular or somebody posted it. McConaughey Quint, I'm down for it. Have a brother-in-law wear shark outfit. Oh, Xavier. Oh, for sure. He would be an awesome shark. Good call. Robert Duvall in the film Colors with Sean Penn. Yeah, Duvall in that is fantastic. You could walk down and spork them all. Brother-in-law sneak up on you in shark outfit. I'll see if I can arrange that. Love that one, Russell. Yes, Colors. Have Neil Breen do a Jaws movie. I'm down for Neil Breen doing any movie. How about Neil Breen does the next James Bond movie? Um, yeah, Colors is fantastic. Saw that in the cinema. We were talking during the New Jack City watch party about kind of 90s gangster movies, late 80s, 90s gangster films. And Colors is fantastic. It's the first one to really tackle the Crips blood situation out west. So here we have this, Mrs. Brody is kind of, babying Sheriff Brody, worried about him, getting him ready to go off with his little friends on his adventure. And it's kind of sweet. It reminds you like this dude isn't totally suited for this at all. Rank the Jaws movies. Oh boy, I think they just go in order, don't they? Well, no, I go one, three, two, four, and then Amityville Jaws, and Jaws meets the Nun, and Chucky meets Jaws. Do you like Roller Coaster? That and Saucer released some days apart at Star Wars. I've never seen Roller Coaster, and I don't like roller coasters in general. Roller Coaster was a fun watch. I will check out Roller Coaster. Matter of fact, let me look right now. What is Roller Coaster? I'm uninformed. This is sweet. Where she's standing on the shore as they get on the boat and leave. We've built up this whole thing with their relationship and his family, and he feels like a family man, not like a dude who's supposed to go out in a boat and kill a shark. Get back safe to her, Brody. Come on. And she runs home crying. A bit over the top and over dramatic. I'd be like, all right, drama queen. I'm the one that's got to go fight a shark. You need to settle down. And here's the awesome shot where we see through the window with the big shark's teeth, and they've got the shark's teeth. So the camera goes through the mouth, and we see the sharks, the boat go into the shark's mouth. Both figuratively and literally. Master, masterwork. Yeah, this shot with that depth right there, where you can see Martha's Vineyard like way off in the back. That looks nice. Roller coaster. Oh boy, a whole bunch of good people in this. We got George Siegel, Richard Widmark, Henry Fonda, Timothy Bottoms, Helen Hunt. Helen Hunt was in it, and Larry Holt. What the hell's it about? An unnamed young extortionist sets off a bomb on an amusement park roller coaster, causing multiple fatalities. Then says that he will do the same to five other rides or simultaneously. Let's paid $1 million. Oh, it's Speed. Okay, cool. Also, Black Sunday. If you've ever seen Black Sunday, that's about a blimp that's going to attack the Super Bowl. Next time you need Super Bowl alternate programming. That's a classic one. If you don't want to watch the Super Bowl and it's like, I'm so sick of this damn big game, watch Black Sunday. George Siegel was good acting in Roller Coaster. He rides and doesn't get sick or look fun. Serious investigation. Unlike Bronson Pinchot in True Romance. See, we'll keep bringing all this back around and tie it all together, baby. PG Kinshaw, man, Eaten Alive and Us 70s Kids were different. Yeah, that's part of the thing too. Is they didn't want to be so hard to give a movie an R and cost it a bunch of money, so they tried to give everything the benefit of the doubt and leave it PG. Um, but then at a certain point, PG-13 had to be invented, and then times and morality changed, and suddenly things that were acceptable in one era aren't in the next. Bunch of prudes. Yes, fun one, Russell. Favorite shark scenes or kills of this franchise. Um, This the end of part four. Doesn't she basically do the same thing? She blows him up. I was a teen in the '70s. That sounds like a movie I would watch. I think I did. It was called Dazed and Confused. Make Jaws in various time periods. Maybe Jaws 22 AD, Natives in Jaws, Adam Beach, and others. Yeah, I'm down for it, actually. How about Jaws fights the lady from Prey? The Predator movie. Bad Boys with Sean Penn and Clancy Brown is good. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, we were talking about that mm, when we were watching Pet Cemetery 2 on Bones channel. That's where it was. We were talking about that. Um, we were discussing the work of Clancy Brown, and I had mentioned that I enjoyed Bad Boys. So yeah, I would check that one out. That's a good. Feel like you're prison movies, I guess you would call them. I don't know. If you want Jaws, they were old timey swim guards. Yeah, I would like to see Jaws attack a bunch of people in like that, like Gomez Pugsley Adams, like striped shirt, bathing suit, the old um Charlie Chaplin deal, you know. So this part fantastic too. It's the opposite of some of the other scenes. Everybody's doing what they're doing, but Robert Shaw sees that the shark is there. So he gets out this big ass, fishing pole, and he's quietly doing what he's doing while Dreyfus and Scheider don't even pay attention. So we, the audience, kind of see, it's the old Alfred Hitchcock thing. We're aware of the suspense, even though the people in the movie aren't. And then as soon as he ties the rope knot, that's like he triggers the reaction of happening. That's where the boats go. Get behind me. So here goes the barrels. Well, I remember the Blob remake killing a kid, and that's the only kind I think of. Yeah, the Blob remake's a fantastic. We've talked before about best remakes ever made, and the Blob remake is right up there. Pretty fantastic. Brody Bradley Cooper, I could go for that. Yeah, that's a decent one because he fills that need of being like a relatable everyman, but maybe you still need to fight if you need to, right? That's part of the thing with Scheider. He's got a little toughness to him. He's gonna take some crap. I think Alligator did too. Rebel Wilson is Brody. Sure. The Brody wife is underrated. I love her character. She gets bad rap. Siskel and Ebert savaged her in Jaws 4 review. She talented. Um, yeah, what is her name? Lorraine Gray? Lorraine Gary. I'm sorry. I've got dyslexia apparently. Let me see. Lorraine Gary. What else I know you from, girl? You are best known for Jaws the Revenge, Jaws 2, Jaws, and 1941. So basically, Spielberg and her must be pals. You and me, kid. Let's see. She doesn't say she passed away. It says she was born in 1937, though. Stopped working in 1987. Um, yeah, a bunch of TV. She was in Car Wash. Um, yeah, 1941. Huh? Okay. Yeah, so her work basically just was from like 1970. Let me see. See y'all. This is confusing. What are you doing to me, IMDb? Yeah, so her career started in '67, bunch of TV, Dragnet, McCloud, Virginian, all that. Night Gallery. Night Gallery is where Spielberg got his start. Night Gallery was basically an updated version of Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone had gone off the air, and then Rod Serling had another kind of weirdo anthology show where he would like walk around art gallery, and at each painting he would stop and tell a story, and they would do a little thing. And Spielberg directed, I believe, an episode of A Night Gallery, and he also did, I think, an episode of Columbo, maybe, and then Duel, or did Duel come before that? But anyways, yeah, Duel was the first big one of his. All this stuff on the boat, like, yeah, they just get their ass kicked. It's all not, yeah, it becomes like a disaster movie almost. Like just various little things happen, like the part where the rope pinches him against the side, and so many little, you know, yeah, boat accidents, maritime accidents. I tell you, they're dangerous. Just every little bad thing that could happen happens on this. I had mentioned before the Quint is basically you know, um, Captain Ahab character from Moby Dick. Like he's been scarred. He has vengeance against these sharks because of what happened to him in the Indianapolis thing. They explain, he was in a submarine or a boat or whatever that went down and they were under the water and they get attacked. I believe that was made into a movie. Was McConaughey in that? I could swear they made an Indianapolis movie. Um Men of Courage. There you go. 2016. Oh, Nicholas Cage. Should have known. Yeah, the true story of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis and its crew's struggle to survive the sharks and exposure. And now all this stuff is like, Jacques Cousteau, a lot of insert shots of just being on the boat, the sun being down on you. And so many of these shots are awesome, though, like going up here in this crow's nest thing and looking down at the boat. It gives you a real sense of the set, just how small it is and how vulnerable they are. Once again, Spielberg master. I don't know why I'm Frankenstein all of a sudden. Spielberg, master. Make Coleman Domingo Brody ASAP. Sorry, here's the classic scene where Brody's got the cigarette hanging out of his mouth, he's shoveling the chum. Some days life feels like that. Set it at a mostly segregated beach in the 50s. Okay, once again, you're doing it for me, Stacy. Why did the mayor make people get in the water? He had huge crowds everywhere, was having fun spending money. So frustrating. Yeah, the mayor himself, yeah, he's just trying to keep his job, trying to keep business. There it is. He's shoveling the chum and he looks away, bitching, and then the shark comes up. I love this shot because they distract you. It's classic, sleight of hand. He's mad, so you feel the tension of him like bitching out the dudes, and he's yelling and complaining. He's throwing the chum and he's smoking the cigarette, and so much is going on, and then the shark just comes up. Like, oh yeah, you're here too. I forgot about you. Let's see. Michael Phelps is the first kill in the new Jaws. He go get bong water and the shark snag him. I like it. That's a good bit of business. Call it Swage and make it like Memento. Interesting. Speaking of Jaws sequels and remakes and whatnot, when they made Jaws 3, the people who made Airplane, the Zuckers, I think, wanted to make this into like a comedy. They thought the only way to take a third Jaws movie is to make a sequel, like a comedic, airplane type movie. And they were going to call it Jaws 3 People Nothing. And they, for some reason, decided Jaws 3D was a much better idea. But I feel like once you put that comedic boot to something, like it's dead after that. Like, I don't think if you make Jaws 3 a comedy, like especially ridiculous, slapstick, absurd, there is no part 4, 5, and whatever after that. You can't come back from the comedy. Unless you just take the franchise that way, like Scary Movie, maybe. I like Jaws 4 more than 3, honestly. 4 at least makes me laugh. 3 is just boring. See, I'm a nostalgia fan for 3 because, like I said, I saw it in the theater, so all I can see is just the 3D shots. So much of it, and it's a very poorly constructed movie. 4 at least has the benefit of being, scenic and beautiful. It's in the Caribbean, but in general, nobody should watch any Jaws past 1. If you're gonna watch Jaws 2, just watch Jaws 1 again. Save yourself the trouble. Go to the end of the barrels, further out. I love this when he's supposed to go out on the nose of the boat, and he's like walking out on this plank, and he's explaining how he's taking pictures. Okay, now get in the foreground so I can get some scale. Yes, Bad Boys '83, Bad Boys action comedy. I love the Baron quotes. Barn Boss gets the cigarettes, etc. Bad Boys remake with Chalamet. Do it now. I'm down for that. Yeah, the whole stuff with, like I say, it's a prison movie, but it's like a juvie prison movie, but it's just as harsh. And that whole thing at the end where there's like a prison riot and they shut down, they got the people who, the guards or whatever, they lock them out and the two fight to the death. Um, Kind of reminds me of that awesome scene in Ricochet with Lithgow and Denzel. Like at one point, Lithgow's doing like this like prison gladiator scene. I don't know. The insane exaggeration of prison fights are amazing in movies. Calvin Bouchard in Jaws 3, Lou Gossett, he is goaded. He is a Richard Attenborough, John Hammond before John Hammond in Jurassic Park. He is basically, yeah, I mean, that is kind of his same role. Who you cast as Michael Crichton for the biopic? Who's tall enough? Liam Neeson as Crichton? I didn't realize Michael Crichton was tall. Who would I cast as Michael Crichton for a biopic about him? He's interesting because he's done so much. Um, wow, he is kind of a giant. I never realized that. Second thing, Michael Crichton books, Michael Crichton height. He's 6'9". Wow, that is a giant. I never realized that. There's pictures of him with other authors. It looks ridiculous. It looks like people meeting NBA stars. Too funny. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know he was a giant like that. I am in the same ballpark. I'm shorter. I'm 6'8", but yeah, I sympathize. Who would I get to play him? We got to get CGI Fred Gwynn, right? I don't know who else. Who? No, you would get former NBA star Christian Laettner. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Let me see. Campbell Scott on Elsbeth Misberry program. Have you seen Dying Young? I have seen Dying Young. That's a sad movie. You want to talk about? We were talking about sad movies earlier, like Orca and stuff. That the movie Dying Young. That's a brutal one. Um, Also, what's the one with Michael Keaton? That's kind of the same deal. Like he's like getting ready to die, and he's making videos for his son that's going to be born after he dies, or his kid that's going to be born after he dies. And sad to think Shaw just died a couple years after Jaw. Well, Shaw's he's amazing, but in this movie he feels old and beat up. That's like I mean that's acting. He's not supposed to really be, but there's a perfect shot just as I'm talking of him. He's standing out on the plank and and looking at Richard Dreyfuss with those eyes, and it's set at dusk, so it's got like this almost like beautiful outsiders look to it. There's this golden hour with the clouds literally golden, and we've gone from seeing him perfectly clear to silhouette. It's a nice transition into night, and then here we're getting ready to come up on the here they are. They're sitting around drinking. That's what we've been waiting here the whole time for, to get drunk on this boat with Quint Hooper and Brody. No, the one with Will Smith. The other one was a juvie jail film, Bad Boys. Yeah, I don't like the Will Smith one. I like the juvie jail one. Now the Will Smith one's all right. I always found those Bad Boy movies overrated. They weren't that good to me. There's so many other like I'd much rather watch the Lethal Weapon movies than the Bad Boys movies. Yes, Russell loves 7 Up's movies. The Heist Movie Tournament was great. Dustin Hoffman. Do you have a favorite movie? Yeah, I got not one. I mean, I've had this discussion before. I have about 10 favorite movies. Genre plays into it, mood plays into it. Um, those movies I mentioned earlier, this, Empire Strikes Back, Die Hard, the classics, obviously always, but personal favorites like Big Lebowski and True Romance. A lot of that Tarantino from that era. I love Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and um, I'm a old. When I became a film nerd and a big dork, I went back. I love Citizen Kane. I could watch Citizen Kane over and over. So here's the part where they're comparing scars. And Quint's got my shirt on. Not the one. Sharks have collective native memory. They pass on info and grudges like the crows do. Crows carry grudges for 17 years genetically. Fact. Generationally, I did not know crows had generational grudges because I think I hit a crow like about 10 years ago with a car and I might be in trouble. Michael Caine steals Jaws 4. I love Bowie. Do you like Rotten Scoundrels? Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is fantastic. Yeah, I forgot Michael Caine was in it in part 4. He kind of is the main thing in the movie, but that was at the stage where Michael Caine was taking movies like Blame It on Rio and stuff because he just wanted to have vacations while he was filming. So I'm excited to see that sand again. Thanks, Russell. A new comedy horror development, Cryptoflora. The movie is being made where they are filming in a desert and creatures are in the sand. Oh, like no-see-ums. We have them in Florida all the time. I think the technical or the like clinical term or whatever is sand fleas, but we just call them no-see-ums. Like sometimes if you're near sandy, crappy dirt, you'll start getting itchy ankles. They're monsters. You can't wear ankle socks in Florida. Leaking dynamite on the truck. Yes, when we're talking about Sorcerer. Cool, Stacy. Kaboom is a better title than Sorcerer. I am so far behind. Barrels do the tire and the shark and the drowned it, I think. Mayor and this Steve Buscemi. I'm down for that. Um, there, we're on it now. Mr. Hooper, that's the USS Indianapolis. The pacing of this scene. You were on the Indianapolis? What happened? Roy Scheider's all stupid. Japanese submarine slammed two torpedoes into her side, Chief. I was coming back from the island of Tinian to Lyrie. Just delivered the bomb to Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water. Vessel went down in 12 minutes. Didn't see the first shark for about a half an hour. Tiger, 13-footer. You know how you know that when you're in the water, Chief? You tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. Well, we didn't know. Because our bomb mission had been so secret, no distress signal had been sent. I like the part too where he takes the tooth out right before he starts this story because it kind of gives him even a old hockey player trading war stories or something. They didn't even list us as overdue for a week. Very first light, Chief. The sharks come cruising, so we formed ourselves into tight groups. You know, it was kind of like old squares in a battle. Like you see on a calendar, like the Battle of Waterloo. The shark comes to the nearest man, he starts pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes the shark would go away, but sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know a thing about a shark, he's got black eyes, lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes. And when he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. Then those little black eyes roll over white, and then, oh, you hear that terrible high pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and in spite of all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces. And then they cut away to Shiner. Like that was all just one shot. Perfect. Didn't break it. Even Dreyfus just sitting there like in perfect awe. I don't know how many sharks. Maybe 1,000. On Thursday morning, Chief, I bumped into a friend of mine, Herbie Robinson from Cleveland. Baseball player, bosun's mate. I thought he was asleep. Reached over to wake him up. He bobbed up and down in the water, just like kind of a top, upended. Well, he'd been bitten in half below the waist. So good. So good. I'm on a 4-minute delay. Oh, you're not missing nothing. You just listen to some crazy dude loving this scene. He swung low in the U.S. He was a young pilot, a lot like younger than Mr. Hooper. Hey, 58th survivor of VHS. Howdy, Russell. Good to see you, broski. Scariest movie ever. I think the tall man from the Phantasm has that statement. Boy, no, Jaws set up phobias for people, and I give it that. Yeah, that's the thing. The Jaws phobia, not only of the ocean, but the fact that there were so many people who were scared to go to swimming pools. Like, that's the one that gets me. When Jaws made folks scared of the bathtub. Make Black Jaws, Blaws. I'm down for it. Forrest Whitaker is Quentin. See, this, yes, that. Go do that. Macabro. Somebody wake up Macabro. Love Phantasm VHS when it came out. Jaws 3 over 2? That's shocking. Yeah, that's for me personally. That's a 2 isn't that great because it's the same problem. It's like, why is this still going on? I'm not a fan of it. The first one I liked. 3 at least has that stupid nostalgia of the 3D-ness to it. I'm a big fan of Jaws 3. My dad took us to SeaWorld San Diego and the Shark Tunnel, much more creepy. I bet. I've been in those like underwater tunnels, and they ever since Jaws 3, I'm psychologically scarred by them. Just tell them I'm going fishing. Badass. Roller coaster underrated disaster movie. I think people died during there. They used dummies during roller coaster crash scenes. One of the two. See, I have roller coaster phobia already, so I don't ride them. So I suppose I'd probably love it. Oh my, Russell roller coaster. How did I forget that one? My dad had that VHS goodness. We had the Final Destination without that gem. Okay, yeah, you guys got me intrigued by roller coaster now. I need to see that. It's just a dream. No, it's not. Rocketeer versus Jaws would be fun. I'm down for that. I actually, uh, my we try to find new things to put on for the kids. You know, especially the toddler needs some sort of background noise. And one of the shows I have been putting on for her off and on is the updated Rocketeer. They have a cartoon on Disney with like a little girl who has the Rocketeer outfit and stuff. I was explaining to my wife how Timothy Dalton was in the original Rocketeer and stuff. Fun times, fun times. Praises Acres. Hello, I need to look for that tomorrow in the DVD from the game movie store. So here's the part where they're singing and how we started this whole thing. I had a drink about an hour ago, and then we see the boards just breaking. Like we don't see the shark slamming into it from the outside because the shark sucks. So instead, we just see the boards giving way, and it's perfect. We don't need to see the shark. We see he's out there. We know what he's doing. Roller coaster was another locked in phobias for people around parks, Six Flags. Not a fan of that one. Yeah, I've never liked roller coasters personally. I grew up next, like literally right next door to a Six Flags, and I used to work there as a teenager and stuff, and I never rode the rides. I don't trust humanity. Like, like parachuting. It's like, oh, I understand the physics of it and how it's safe. I just don't trust that somebody made my parachute right. Or, roller coasters. It's like, no, I get why it's supposed to be safe. I just don't trust that the people who put it together did a good job. So now the barrels are back. We go outside and I wow, that's a crazy look. The blinking light on the little tracker thing they have on the barrel, and they go up to the top and they're looking at the water and they see the barrel floating there, and the way it's flickering is lighting the water in a weird way I've never seen before. It looks like the water's being electrocuted. And there was oh wow, I've seen this movie 50 times. I've never noticed that shooting star before. That was kind of amazing. Just I guess natural happenstance. So now that was a fake shooting star there. That was because they slowed it down. Bad Seagull looks a lot like Birdemic. I fell off roller coaster. I fell off three roller coaster, four if you count the fourth one. Good one. Make True Man sequel only about Michael Rappaport character. Ooh, never that. I have a lifelong. I'm ready to fight Rappaport in celebrity boxing. I just have to become a celebrity first. If you ever noticed, the color red is almost never seen in this movie. It was done on purpose to make the blood more shocking. Oh, the colors besides, yeah, because when the red shows up, it looks heavily oversaturated. But yeah, you're right. There's lots of oranges and browns and things. Look at Clarkness. Clarkness bringing the heat. Wardrobe department wanted no red. Yeah, that's the type of things. Listening for that in the Spielberg cameo on the radio. Um, yeah, that's the type of things that people don't realize all the different departments, the art they bring to it. Somebody sit down, had a meeting way before anybody got on this water and discussed, all right, we never want to use red. So when red shows up, it's only blood. And then what? The wine scene, even the wine is kind of a purple dark. So here we see that the jaw. Do you call the shark Jaws? I always do. I never call it Bruce. We see that Jaws is bitten through the rope on the barrel that it was carrying around for it, and we realize this shark's a little smarter than we had given it credit for. Mayor of the Sharkahoots, Angelica Houston is Quinta. Quinta. Ooh, I like it. See. Who you cast as the new Doc Brown? Bronson Pinchot? Always. The new Doc Brown. Who would I cast? Um, I don't know. I'll think about it. What movie do you think for the next watch party? I don't know for sure. Sometime this month before May ends, I would like to watch the original Star Wars trilogy: The New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. That's all, just those three. But yeah, sometime I'll be trying to crank those out before May is done. I have a handful of other things that I'd like to watch. I always have a few that are on the in the back pocket: Matrix, Conan the Barbarian, etc. Rolling Coaster showed my many theme parks as they were at a time and ride opening, such as First Roller Coaster, Loop, Magic Mountain, Revolution, Sparks, Song, Big Boy, great movie. Yeah, did you ever see Adventureland? Is that what it's called? One with Kristen Stewart. I think that's what it's called, something like that. Wonderland, something. No, Wonderland was the one about the big dong guy. Quint was definitely struggling with PTSD. Oh, for shizzle. Timothy Bottom's underrated low key villain performance. What favorite villains were there? And a villain doesn't talk a lot. Uh, I don't know, but your Timothy Bottoms comment made me think about Timothy Busfield, and he would be a great Richard Dreyfuss in this. 2 minute warning when Charlton Heston sniper at a football game. Great cast. Oh, that's another one. Yeah, that the 2 minute warning and Black Sunday is a good double feature. What beach snacks you get? Laffy Taffy, jelly deals. What beach snacks do I like? Um, See, beaches are tough. Everybody's like, "Oh, let's bring the sandwiches, a little picnic basket or something." It's like, no, you can't. I mean, I'm not trying to have my sandwiches sit out in the hot ass beach. You got to bring a little cooler or whatever, and everything's sandy. You don't want your food getting sandy. That sucks. Beach snacks, that's a toughie. Watermelon, I think, is the classic, but you get sandy watermelon, that'll ruin your day, man. That'll ruin your month. The only reason it takes Brody so long to tell the guys he saw the shark is because his screaming from the test audiences drowned out his famous line, so they added a long pause. Ah, nice. Clarkness, a Jaws fanatic. I dig it. Love jelly deals. I don't think I've ever had them. Foreground my ass. Do you like whitefish? 59th roller coaster, Blu-ray good everywhere, but Jaws. But when we were Jaws is the broke cage. The co-pilot, Clyde Jaws. Oh, the Every Which Way But Loose with a shark. I like it. Bad Boys with Sean Penn is not an action comedy. It could be if you have a weird sense of humor. Shaw Live on the way is whiskey. He had the essence added to each bottle. What's your favorite food? And should your soul live on? And what food or drink? Hmm. Maybe they can make some sort of like barbecue rib dry rub with my ashes. Maybe I don't know. First song you did for karaoke, did it have those fun music videos on with lyrics? Eminem, "Lose Yourself," and then after that, my karaoke songs after that are always like a prank. Like I ask the dude, I'm like, "Could you have tequila?" And he'd be like, "No." I'm like, okay, because you go stand up there in front of everybody and just stand around and wait. Tequila. I got a bad sense of humor. The Last Detail with Jack Nicholson and Randy Quaid, who got an Oscar nomination for Meadows, so underrated. I own that on DVD. Yes, Randy over Dennis. Oh, I don't know about that. It's crazy as far as interesting goes. Randy over Dennis, but Dennis is underrated. Nails on chalkboard. First time in movie for this. The nails on the chalkboard when he makes everybody stop. That's the like splash page movie when you go to find this on Amazon. Like at the top corner, it just shows that. And when I was looking to see where this was to watch it tonight, my daughter walked by the TV and she froze like, "Ugh." Yeah, as far as nails on a chalkboard go, that might be the best nails on chalkboard scene in movie history. I bet the chief regretted pointing out that tattoo. I bet he did. His delivery is so chilling, you can see the trauma in his eyes, right? Like it feels real to him. Like he lived that. That doesn't feel like someone reciting a dialogue. I like that Quint treats Hooper with a lot more respect after seeing his shark scars. The character's good development. Yeah, I mean, everything it's paced out. Everything has its own place. The characters develop at the right pace. The emotions of the actors and the way they're displaying them evolve at the right pace. The John Williams score, the cinematography of how do you film a stupid boat. I mean, the thing's like 30 feet long. There's only so many ways we can put a camera on this and what directions to turn it in and stuff. He finds a new way every way. There's the part where the rope pinches Dreyfus against the side of the boat. Yeah, there's just so many it's almost like Final Destination. It's like how many screwball bad things could happen while we're out on this boat. Clarkness, who would you have a good Hooper? Randy Quaid, Brad Dorff? Oh, I like Brad Dorff as a Hooper. Robert Shaw faked his death and moved to North Korea. Fries, wine, less food. I think that's possible. I want Carmen San Diego movie, the Where's Waldo movie, and then the crossover. I would actually somebody made like a online goof like spoof movie of Robert Rodriguez doing Carmen San Diego. Um, I know you want Where's Waldo. I just don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what the plot is. Um, Mary Shaw, Dead Silence. Have you been to Martha's Vineyard? No, I have not. I've been to small like islands like that before. Like I say, I lived around the Great Lakes. There's lots of like little, oh, go out to this island off, in Lake Michigan, and there's a little thing or whatever, stuff like that. And it's not. I'm a little too cool and a little too homebody for that. I don't have enough energy to get out of my house for something that ain't awesome. New sea disaster movie, Whale Fall. Austin Abrams from Weapons go look for their father Brody at sea. It's Josh Brolin, and they both get stuck in a whale. Elizabeth Shue, mother, best at cinema. Is that a real thing? I'm interested. Christian Slater and Murray Hamilton Mayer. Really? Have him be Clarence Worley though. Yeah, for sure. With the Elvis glasses on. Always liked you, Clarence. Always have. Always will. Dogs are R2D2. What is this? Jaws. Bruce dances to the blue and yellow purple pills. There you go. Dogs are R2D2. Bitches leave. Famous RoboCop line. Jamie Hart is the lady at the beginning of Jaws. Oh, the one that gets eaten while she's nude. I like Jamie Hart. Don't let her get killed by that shark. Last of Tail was great, Russell. Yeah, Last of Tail's pretty damn awesome. You are hilarious. I'm a fool. Have you been in a glass bottom boat? I have been on a glass bottom boat. Actually, I think I went on one in like Disney World or something. But I went once on when I went to Florida a long time ago. I don't like any of that. I'm admittedly a coward. Nature is dangerous. Like I find it fascinating to be able to see an aquarium, but I don't need to be on the aquarium. Uh, Boglins, Boglin bones, Boglin, Boglin indeed. No, that's not right. It says Bogkins. There, now I've contributed. So now here's where he's like the no shark strong enough to swim with three barrels. And it's like, do you know how big this shark is? And then that's a great shot there. The wide shot where you can see the boat out on the ocean and then three barrels across. It's like the whole boat's maybe five barrels across. Yeah, Robert Shaw looks like he cleans his mutton chops with a carpet steamer. Oh, Wes used to say Boglins indeed. Oh, then I will pick up Boglins indeed. Boglins indeed. Actually, I say that sometimes the missus will say something. She'll be like, ugh. I'll be like, ugh, indeed. Um, Birds, who you cast in the new one? Chicago and Hitchcock cameos. Let's see. Who would I cast for the new Birds? Who would be a good Tippy Hedren? You could get anybody to play that, right? Like if you were like Kate Hudson as Tippy Hedren, or you were like, oh boy, who else is floating around that would be decent? Emma Stone, right? Emma Stone plays every role. Um, I wonder if Wes is okay. Ooh, awkward. For those of you who aren't aware, our friend Wes, the Ice Lord, who I've appeared on his channel several times and done various things and interacted with, he had passed away at the beginning of the year. I believe January. He and our friend uh, Cinephile World Order, formerly known as Sean Blue Digital, had passed away. Both right next to each other, and it was incredibly, it hit me hard. My friend Savage Zombie Reviews had passed away about a year and a half ago, and that one hit me hard. And I wasn't as close with Dave as I was with Wes and Sean. And when Wes and Sean passed away, it hit me hard. So yeah, I hope those. I wish those souls Godspeed. And, moving on to that, I think I will go back to talking about Jaws. Sharks want to eat Slapping Lady, but they missed. I would be down for that. He made the eyes. Yeah, I know. Henry Cavill, Sydney Sweeney, Birds. I like that because Henry Cavill's got that Rod Taylor look about him, right? Like he's got kind of the square jaw, furry chest sort of look. Like Sorry to hear that, Rip. Yeah, I know. That's one of the things with having internet friends is sometimes if you miss a day or two in the news cycle, I've like I say, when Wes passed away, I don't know, it really bothered me because he had contacted me on Instagram a couple times about being on the Ninth Circle more often. He's, very sweet and complimentary. Like, you need to be on more, blah, 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 with the cool West voice. Don, you need to come on more. Um, so yeah, you know, West the Ice Lord, rest in peace. I still have a damn video file in that of a video I never edited because I was moving around where Wes had sent me a Blu-ray copy of um, Christmas Evil. And I meant to, make a video, open a package from West the Ice Lord. So like every time I go into my videos to upload a video, there's a file or a little folder that says West the Ice Lord, and he's staring at me. Uh, it, yeah, yeah. Anyways, back to Robert Shaw's mutton chops. Rod Taylor was hot. Yeah, I think I could see that. He's kind of eye candy for women, like I was saying. That's why I mean Henry Cavill's a good comparison for that. I think that's good. Oh, I thought you knew Russ. No, I didn't. Yeah, that's what I mean. Make Dangerous Minds G.I. Jane combine legacy cool, and they take the cell phones and start a military school. I'm down for that. G.I. Jane. All right, so now the boat has been attacked and it's sinking. And Robert Shaw goes and puts his military coat back on, is like his, army fatigues because he's going through a thing. And we've already destroyed the radio, so there's no help coming because he's, like I said, Shaw's got this whole like, Captain Ahab thing where he's driven by his hatred for sharks and he's going to catch this thing no matter what. And then just now the resignation of, well, we're out on this damn boat. It's sinking. We don't know how to let anybody know we're to come get us. We're screwed. And that's when they're like, well, let's try to inject this damn shark with 55 cc's of whatever. Well, I can't help but mention him from time to time in chats and in my lives. Wes was awesome. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Sometimes just talking about it sort of bums me out. And Wes was a good dude. I remember he was on an episode of the Boneyard. I think that was when I was getting ready to move to Tampa. He was on an episode, and then I missed a week, and then I was on the week after, and I think he closed out the episode by being like, "Okay, guys, I don't know if I'm gonna be here next week. I'm going to rehab. All right, take it easy. Bye." We're like, Wes, you're wild. We love you. So yeah, rest in peace, Wes. He was awesome indeed. I agree. Have you jet skied before? Those are fun. That is a crazy transition, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to jump all over this. Yes, I have jet skied a bunch of times. I jet skied when I was in Hawaii in the ocean. That scared me more. Like I said, I grew up around the Great Lakes, and that isn't just the big, 5 lakes, but that's also all the little lakes that are all around Minnesota and Illinois and Wisconsin. There's thousands and thousands of them. So yeah, I've been on smaller lakes with jet skis and stuff, and they're fun. They're a good time. The one on the ocean scared me because I kept feeling like if I got off it, like if I fell off or anything, like I was extra screwed. So here's the scene I was talking about. Dreyfus is getting in the cage. He's like, "Give me your glasses," and he's trying to spit in the swim goggles. And he's like, "I don't have any spit. I ain't got no spit." And that's a scene that they would get rid of. Like people who didn't know better would get rid of that in the script. They'd be like, "It means nothing. It's stupid. Get rid of it to save time." And it's so important because it shows this dude is scared. We're worried for him and he's worried for him, which makes it extra scary. He's an expert. What's better, Reese's Pieces or Starburst? Oh, Reese's Pieces. Starbursts are delicious, but the problem is they're basically just like some sort of taffy. Like you chew 'em and you got like Starburst in your teeth. Reese's Pieces are delicious. They're just M&Ms with peanut butter. If you like peanut butter the way I like peanut butter, it's fine. Man goes into cage, cage goes into water, shark is in the water. Our shark. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Um, E.T. versus Jaws. Botanicus, the alien mentioned in E.T. novelization, takes over Jaws' mind. I'd be down for E.T. versus Jaws. It seems like Jaws would win, though. It's like that old Bambi versus Godzilla cartoon. I was close to Sean. Have to move on quick. I agree with you. Yeah, it's so sad. I miss Sean, the good die young rip. Yeah, it's sad to that's what I mean. That having three people who I consider genuine friends while I've been on YouTube pass away feels like a lot. I remember when I was on Twitter, occasionally you would get the word that remember so and so who was kind of funny, they passed away. But like to have someone who I've been on screen with and talked with face to face, and messaged with, and you feel like you know them, like you know anybody in your life, just difficult. So now we're more awesome underwater shots as I try to do transition. They spend all this time on the close up of the needle, and we question can this needle, puncture the shark's skin, his leathery shark skin, to give him the injection. And while we're focused on the needle, we just see the shark swim up behind him and just slam into the cage. And once again, the misdirection. This movie does that a bunch. It gets your attention with one thing, and then that shark pops up in the background again. Not a lot of that in horror movies. Most horror movies spend so much time on the suspense buildup instead of like, oh yeah, this thing's here too. You know, it's the best type of jump scare. Have you seen Jaws on the big screen? No, that's what I was trying to remember. I don't think I have. I remember distinctly Jaws 3 on the big screen because of the 3D. Um, this was released so many times that it's very possible I saw it at the drive-in. A lot of movies I saw like that. Like I never saw Star Wars on its original theatrical run, but then like a year or two or three later, I think actually around Empire Strikes Back, they re-released A New Hope, and I got to see that at the drive-in. Um, Drive-in was a big one for me when I was a kid. We had one about I don't know, probably 3, 4 miles down the road, and we would run errands and drive to stores and stuff, and you'd pass the drive-in and see what was playing. So there was forever like just driving down the road, and you'd look and you'd see Tron up on the big screen on the way home and stuff. So I saw so many movies at the drive-in. Grizzly 2 available to be seen now. Charlie Sheen, Laura Dern, George Clooney, made in the 80s. It screens occasionally. Grizzly 2. I'm not familiar with it. It was difficult on 420, Sean's birthday for me, but I know he would want me to just keep doing what I do. Although he was a little brother, by just a year difference to me. Long live CWO. Yeah, Sean was always cool, friendly to me, supportive. When he had the Sean Blue Digital channel, I was on there. A handful of times. Me and Larry were. Him and his stuff with Juno and Tex. Sean's an awesome dude. Miss him a lot. After he passed away, I still had one or two unresponded comments on videos he had left, and responding to comments to someone who is longer with us was sort of spooky and weird. I don't know. I miss Sean. He's a funny guy. He's very passionate. He loved movies. Had good taste in movies. CWO for life, right? Yes, I need Grizzly 2 on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, Criterion. Grizzly 2 was filmed in the 80s in Hungary. No release. Okay, well, I'll still want the Criterion. There's the classic shot. The over the head shark coming up, and then now it's attacking the back of the boat, and it's just straight up on the back of the boat as it's sinking. That shark, for a bad robot shark, that looks real. Like I'm afraid of it. It definitely stands up. Which is amazing because what thing from like the 70s still stands up? Watching A New Hope to prepare for watching them on the channel. A New Hope doesn't, a lot of times the effects don't stand up. But in this, oh yeah. So Robert Shaw is just being chewed alive in front of us now. There's blood everywhere. And then I love this part where he's like trying to stab him too. Like, here, I'm going to take you out too, you bastard. And then the shark goes down and we see him just go down with it. Arms open, all like sacrificial. The fact that the boat is sinking adds so much like drama and tension to it all. Because it's one thing if the shark's just attacking them on the boat, and they're like, "No, what?" But the fact the boat is sinking too. There we go. The shark busts in through the window, and you get that big black eye that Shaw was talking about. Eyes black like a doll's eyes. And then here he's trying to bust him in the mouth. He puts the oxygen tank in the mouth, trying to hit him in the face. And that's when he realizes, wait a minute, I got a plan. Yeah, watching the boat sink in real time is like even making me uncomfortable now. No matter how many times I've watched this movie, this bit of business just makes it extra because it's like even if you beat the shark, then what? You're out in the middle of the ocean, no way to let anybody know. Thanks for your comments. I try to reply when I can. Oh, I also still find comments that I miss and stuff. There was a period I told you my browser, whenever I would try to reply to a comment, it wouldn't. And I almost never use my phone for social networking because then I'll be on it all the time. So I went through a phase where I got way behind on a bunch of comments, and I finally now got caught up thanks to that whole comments you missed section in the YouTube studio. So I'm almost caught up, but there's still a bunch of folks I find every now and then I missed comments on posts or something. So there, this shot right here where he's on the boat. All that's left is just the giant I don't know, the mainsail, the flanksel, I don't know. The main pole in the middle of the sail goes up on. Um And then yeah, just as he's fighting him, you just feel this like feeling of even if he wins, then what? You're just stuck out in the middle of the ocean. Wait for the next shark to come along. It's gonna be hard to narrate this without just watching and looking to where the head of the boat is going down in the water and it's sinking and you see him all crooked. Smile, you son of a bitch. Yeah, he's shooting at him. And even the shots of the bullets going into the water. Just amazing cinematography. Blow up. Smile, you son of a. What a satisfying explosion. Like most movies, explosions happen and I kind of find them comical because they're so absurd. Like they're way, a car will be in an accident and it'll explode like it was carrying dynamite in the back. So most movie explosions are stupid as hell. But this shark exploding, like, it makes me feel good inside. Just even there, seeing the shark like with its tail blown off and its head blown off and the carcass just floating to the bottom as like guts and stuff pour out of it and blood. It's like, that's satisfying. I feel better. But because of the situation we're in with this boat, we don't totally get out of the movie fast, but we get out fast enough. Like, okay, he blows up the shark, and we go back to the King Kong rule. Once your monster is dead, your movie's over. Right? Like, why are we still in this movie once the monster's dead? So now that Jaws has been blown up, Bruce, so now that he's exploded, the movie needs to be over. The problem is Roy Scheider's still on a sunken boat in the middle of nowhere, and now Richard Dreyfuss is back. That's kind of one of those like classic horror movie things where a character we thought died comes back. And we're like, oh, test screening saved him. Enough people filled out comment cards for him to come back. I was sad when the nerdy guy died. And then, yeah, this scene where the two of them kind of like buddy up and they're like, so we're still alive? And they're like, yeah, I guess. All right, well, let's find some driftwood and paddle our silly asses back to shore. And here we are from behind, watching them swim away from us. What day is it? It's Wednesday. It's Tuesday, I think. See, that's I think the tide's with us. That's good stuff too, though. That's like when I talk about Die Hard being a Christmas movie, I often talk about the key to that is that Christmas is going on while Die Hard is going on. So it reminds you that like, oh, this bad thing is happening, but the rest of the world gets to have nice, normal boringness. And that's what that line is. It's like, well, we've been off in the ocean fighting a killer shark. The rest of the world, it's like Tuesday, you know? Oh, where's my thing? If you liked, oh darn, it moved too quick. If you liked Jaws, you would recommend, according to stars, uh, Jaws 2, Jaws 4, and Summer Rental with John Candy. That is a good if you like. I like it. Let's see. Let's get caught up on these and get out of here. What movie did you see young that you never seen again and you liked and you wanted to see again? Oh, that's a toughie. I saw a bunch when I was a kid that I liked that, or well, I saw, but I don't know if I liked. Like in the theater, I saw Max Dugan Returns, Jason Robards, huh? But that one I saw on cable later on. The thing is, I grew up on cable and VHS, so even things I saw at the theater, I made sure to go back and watch again. And then even if I didn't, I'd be flipping channels, and there's, oh yeah, this movie. How about Hard Ticket to Hawaii? You can never see that too many times. No, I don't know. In New Mexico for a new Apple TV program, and then another time zones lately. Told someone that you and Larry need to be an action comedy, and they said the height difference would be the selling point. Right? We got a real like, yeah, him down here and me up here. Actually, I don't even know how tall Larry is. But I think Larry's kind likability and my obnoxious silliness work together. We're the new John Favreau and Vince Vaughn. The Killer Shrews with James Best, 1959, when I was 3, but didn't watch it until I was 5 and 6. Boat scenes in comedy rank. What about Bob? Summer Rental, Wedding Crashers, Caddyshack, Weekend at Bernie's. Um, yeah, Step Brothers too. Doesn't that have the Catalina mixer? Whatever. I don't know. Caddyshack is probably my favorite boat scene. My whole, my, my dinghy's bigger than your whole boat. Do Weekend at Bernie's double bill. Ooh, I would be down for a Weekend at Bernie's double bill, or maybe Weekend at Bernie's one and What About Bob, um, or Weekend at Bernie's and The Trouble with Harry. There you go. I want Shark to win and eat all three. Is that okay? No, you're allowed to root for the bad guys. I often do. Each comedy needs a boat scene. Um, yeah. Especially like Hot Dog, the skiing movie. They had a boat scene in that. Mix it up a little bit. Wow, Hooper dying. That's interesting. Fun fact. um, yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like. Like, it feels like you know, he died and they were looked at it and they're like, you know what? There's no reason to kill him. Have him just pop back up. Um, Shark porn, Shorn, popular in Atlantis under the sea. Sebastian crustacean cells and sea stroke. Oh hell yeah! You can get a lot of freaky stuff with some dingle hoppers. Summer rental regatta boat scene epic. Oh, definitely. What about One Crazy Summer? Doesn't that have like a whole regatta boat scene thing too? With Kuzak and Demi Moore. Great event, Russell Clarkness, 59th and more. You too, Stacy. Who would play your father? Steve Martin, Tom Selleck, or John Travolta? My real life father looked a lot like George Carlin. Hard to believe, I know. Or maybe like Peter Cushing as he got older and had less hair. You can kind of see Carlin and Cushing looking alike. Um, for me in a movie, yeah, I would say, yeah, Steve Martin or Tom Selleck's pretty good. Travolta, I don't know. He's a little weird. Like I watched Face Off again recently, and I'm taken back by what a weird actor John Travolta is. His weirdness is good in Pulp Fiction, but in a movie like Face Off, he's just strange. Domestic Servants, Travolta, Boastmaker, underrated thriller, Vince Vaughn, Buscemi. Yeah, I'm a fan of that one actually. Domestic Disturbance. I own it on video. And Video Tasties is here, friend of the channel, friend of the world, Mr. Awesome Video Tasties. Gareth is here. For those of you who aren't familiar with Gareth, go follow him immediately. Last week, he interviewed Danny Trejo on his channel. Even my wife was impressed with that, Gareth. I was like, Danny Trejo's on Gareth's channel. She's like, wow, nice. So yeah, congratulations, buddy. You are awesome, and I am out of here. Gareth is a shark. Yeah, he is. I would watch a Jaws movie with Gareth as a shark. Saw that on film on YouTube too. Gareth with the big smile. I like it. Hi, Gareth. Anyways, I am out of here. I thank all of you for joining me and watching one of the best movies ever made. I think I've come to the decision that yes, it is still as scary as ever. I don't know if it's the scariest movie ever. Maybe The Exorcist is right there too. But yeah, this one pretty terrifying still and awesome. As far as action horror goes, it might be the best action horror ever made. Thing is right there too. So many debates, so many debates. But there is no debate that I'm grateful for you to joining me and grateful to all those folks you saw popping up during the chat tonight. Hobbs Horror, Bones, Gareth, Video Tasties, Russell, Clarkness, uh, Ben Grimm was here, all sorts. Patrick, have Cheetah, Will View, the whole crew, every friend everywhere. Anthony Bo. They're awesome. Stacy, have a great day. Always great here. Thank you, Stacy. And I appreciate all of you. And I wish every single one of you green grass and high tides forever. Adios.